Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve. Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Drama on this Thursday, including Jack Webb, Escape, the story of Dr. Kildare, The Lives of Harry Lime, the Lux Radio Theater presentation of The War of the Worlds from 1955, and The Adventures of Jungle Jim. That's all straight ahead. On this Sure Happy It's Thursday, 8th day of February, 39th day of the year, 327 days remaining until we get to 2025. A doctor in Salem, Virginia, Massachusetts Bay Colony declared in 1692 that 3 teenage girls are under domination of Satan, leading to the Salem witch trials. Boy Scouts of America Incorporated on this date in 1910. 1950, D.W. Griffin's controversial film Birth of the Nation premiered in L.A. That was in 1915. 3 years later, in 1918, the Stars and Stripes newspaper published for the first time, bringing news to our military. President Warren G. Harding introduced the first radio in the White House on this date in 1922. In 1924, the first state execution using gas in the U.S. took place, ironically, here in Nevada. Nevada went to lethal injection, which has been a disaster. Going back to the gas chamber would probably be a good thing. Travel, financial, and commercial transactions by U.S. citizens to Cuba made illegal by the Kennedy administration on this date in 1963. 1968, an attack on black students from South Carolina State University protesting racial segregation of the town's only bowling alley left 3 or 4 people dead in Orangeburg, South Carolina. The last weekly issue of the Saturday Evening Post hit newsstands on this date in 1969. It would be revived in 2 years by a quarterly. In 1970, the owner of a small New York farm, Max Yasker, refused to rent his farm for a second Woodstock festival.
I have no intention of a repeat next year, not because I have anything against the promoters. I have nothing against the promoters. I have nothing against the young people. I think that these music festivals should be held, but I definitely feel that our place in our little township is too small for the kind of crowds they would have to handle.
And with that, the first Woodstock Festival ended up being the last, at least up in New York State. After 84 days in space, the crew of the temporary American space station Skylab returned to Earth.
Now, just a few hundred feet above the Pacific Ocean, splashdown, that's it. A beautiful, beautiful splashdown, and it looks from our point as though the command ship is in what's called, the command module is in what's called a stable 1 position. That means it is upright.
Skylab burned up in the Earth's atmosphere in 1979 over the Pacific Ocean. And in fact, as I recall, and somebody can refresh my memory, was it Taco Bell that put a big buoy out in the Pacific Ocean and that said land here, and if anybody hit it, there'd be free tacos for everybody? I want to say that was Taco Bell, but somebody memory is better than mine. Debuting on this date on CBS television in 1974, the Norman Lear look at urban culture, Good Times.
You can. Temporary layoffs. Good times. Easy credit rip-offs. Good times. Scratching and surviving. Good times. Hanging in a job. Good times. Ain't we lucky we got 'em? Good times.
Back in the days when TV theme songs told you all about the show, all you needed to know. Esther Roll, John Amos, and Jimmy Walker. JJ still with us talking about Dynamite to this day. He hated that for years. He really did. He's started, not being so unhappy about it now. C-SPAN began on this date. Proceedings of the Senate broadcast on radio for the first time in 1978. C-SPAN radio continues to this day over terrestrial radio station WCSP in Washington and via Sirius XM and Android and iTunes apps. In 1993, General Motors sued NBC after Dateline NBC allegedly rigged 2 car crashes intended to demonstrate that some GM pickups can easily catch fire if hit in certain places. NBC settled the lawsuit the next day. 1996, the Congress passed the Communications Decency Act, allegedly to regulate pornography on the Internet. And in 2010, Michael Jackson's personal physician, Dr. Conrad Murray, pled not guilty to involuntary manslaughter in the death of the pop superstar in L.A. Superior Court. He was convicted and sentenced to 4 years in jail. Passing away on this date in history, Anna Nicole Smith.
At 2:49 this afternoon, we were advised by hospital personnel that Anna Nicole Smith had died.
The scene outside a Florida hospital following the accidental prescription drug overdose. Also passing away on this date, Mary Queen of Scots, Del Shannon, the fine singer who committed suicide, and Mary Wilson of the Supremes, passing away on this date as well. Birthdates this time around include James Dean, not the sausage guy, the great young actor.
My well came in big, so big, and there's more down there, and there's bigger wells. I'm rich, bitch. I'm a rich one. I'm a rich boy. Me, I'm gonna have more money than you ever thought you could have. You and all the rest of you stinking sons of Benedicts.
From the 1956 motion picture Giant, released after his passing, James Dean, a wonderful talent born on this date in history. Also, Jules Verne, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, actor Charlie Ruggles, Dame Edith Evans, a fine actress, the pencil neck geek man himself, Freddie Blassie, born on this date, actress Lana Turner, Jack Lemmon, Audrey Meadows, a wonderful lady, Dan Seals of England Jan and John Ford Coley, and actor Gary Coleman, born on this date as well.
Hi, this is Jeff Foxworthy. It is now time for the birthday announcements. The following people are now officially older than dirt.
Wonderful composer-conductor John Williams, Star Wars, E.T., won 25 Grammy Awards. John Williams, 92 today. Journalist Ted Koppel is 84. Actor Nick Nolte is 83. Comedian Robert Klein, still funny at 82. Actress Mary Steenburgen is 71. He wrote The Firm and A Time to Kill, John Grisham, 69 today. From Motley Crue, Vince Neil is 63. The gal from the Progressive commercials, Flo, 54. The Big Show, Paul White, 52 years old today. He's been wrestling 28 years. He was in the WWE for 22. He now is in All Elite Wrestling, mostly as a coach and broadcaster, but he still wrestles every so often. Actor Seth Green is 50. As from Saturday Night Live, Cecily Strong is 40. And the pro surfer with one arm, the movie Soul Surfer was about her, Bethany Hamilton, 34. Those just a few of the people who celebrate the 8th day of February as their birthday. And if this is your birthday...
Hi, we're the 4 freshmen, and we just want to say, Happy birthday to you!
And on this Thursday, full of drama, we will get started with the first of 6 shows, including Jack Webb's Dragnet, which will be first from 71 years ago, February 8th, 1953, The Big Press.
You can have vegetables, lots of them, on your table next winter. You can have your own fresh vegetables on your table this summer if you have your own Victory Garden. Yes, there's no restriction on home canning and home processing of vegetables and garden fruits and berries. Plan your Victory Garden now. Get your garden plot lined up. Get the advice of a garden expert if you need it, and be prepared to grow your own for victory. Join a garden club or community garden movement, or share a garden with your neighbor. You can help win the battle of food production. You can help our fighting men get the food they need. You can help save the vital metals used in commercial canning if you grow your own Victory Garden in 1943. For further information, write to Victory Gardens, Washington, D.C. Victory Gardens, Washington, D.C.
And you're listening to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, now Jack Webb and Dragnet, 53 years ago. February 8th, 1953, the big press.
Sound off for Chesterfield. Chesterfield, the first and only cigarette in America to give you premium quality in both regular and king size, brings you Dragnet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to forgery detail. 2 men have been passing bad checks in your city. You have descriptions of both of them. You know the names on the checks. Your job, get them. First, we read you the 6 months report, then the 8 months report. Now, here is 10 full months of scientific evidence on smoking Chesterfields.
A medical specialist is making regular bi-monthly examinations of a group of people from various walks of life. 45% of this group have smoked Chesterfields for an average of over 10 years. After 10 full months, almost a year now, the specialist reports he observed no adverse effects on the nose, throat, and sinuses of the group from smoking Chesterfield.
That's the report. And Chesterfield is the first and only premium quality cigarette throughout, in both regular and king size. Fine tobaccos, the world's best, kept tasty and fresh, wrapped in the finest cigarette paper money can buy. Yes, everything that goes into your Chesterfield makes it the premium quality cigarette. And it's the only cigarette that gives you scientific evidence of real smoking pleasure. Try much milder Chesterfield today. They're best for you.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Thursday, April 8th. It was windy in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of forgery detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Welsh. My name's Friday. We were on the way back from the main jail, and it was 9:46 a.m. when we got to room 29. Forgery.
Well, that wraps that one up.
Yeah. When are we going to arraign him?
Oh, figure day after tomorrow.
Okay. Well, let's get started on these other crime reports, huh?
Yeah.
Friday, Smith?
Yeah, Skipper.
Hi. See you a minute?
Sure.
Sit down.
What's up, Skipper?
How's the Clemens thing going?
Well, we just talked to him. Says he'll plead guilty.
Mm-hmm. Well, I want you to take a look at this.
Okay. Border checks, huh?
Yeah. I want you two to go to work on it.
Are we going to work with Saunders and Bomey on it?
I want you to take it over.
Well, is there a case in it?
Yeah, but we got a call from San Francisco last night. They got Richards up there.
Oh?
At least they know he's operating in the Bay Area. Saunders and Bomey left last night. They've been on that one for the last year. Looks like they can clean it up. They get back before you bust this, they'll give you a hand.
Well, what's the pitch on it, Skipper?
It's all there.
Let's take a look, huh, Joe?
Mm-hmm. Sure, a bunch of paper.
Near as we can figure, they've been working a little over a year.
Yeah. All the checks are drawn on big companies here. Any idea where they're getting them?
No, not yet.
How far we got on it?
Saunders and Bomey have been working on it. They got about halfway through the list of print shops in the city, then this thing up north came up.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see some of the checks,
Oh,
will you, Joe?
Sure, here.
You got rubber companies, oil companies, department stores, aircraft.
How about the ID when they pass them?
The works, driver's licenses, social security cards, lodge cards. Looks legit enough. Been a lot of people taken.
Descriptions always match, do they?
Close enough, yeah. Now and then there's a little difference, but they all match up close enough. Still using the same bad border.
Uh-huh.
You notice that even though they changed the name of the company on the check, changed the heading all around, they use the same border on all of them.
Yeah, I see.
Look, there in the lower left-hand corner. See?
Yeah. Plate's broken. Little break in the border.
Mm-hmm.
All the checks they pass have the same thing.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't notice it unless you're really looking for it, would you?
Well, that's it. All the reports are there. Everything that's been done. It's in your lap now. Need anything, let me know.
Right. Okay, Skipper, we'll get right on it. You know, from the package here, sure looks like they're scoring good, doesn't it?
How much they got?
Well, let's see. Figures about $70,000.
Huh. All the bulletins we put out. Know the people you cash checks for.
Yeah.
70,000. It's a lot of money, isn't it?
Sure is.
If people would just read those bulletins. They never learn, huh?
10:02 a.m. We started through the package. The check forgers had been working for over a year. They'd passed phony checks all over the southern part of the state. The amounts on the checks varied from $50 to $275. They carried 10 different endorsements. The names and signatures had been run through our files, but we'd gotten no identification. The writing had been checked by Don Meyer, but there were no examples in the files that matched. During the next 2 days, we finished canvassing the print shops in the area in an attempt to find where the bad checks were being printed. We came up with no new information. Additional circulars were gotten out to all stores and check cashing agencies in the area, giving the description of the two men and lists of the companies the checks had been drawn upon. Photographs of the checks pointing out the border defect were also distributed. 2 weeks went by. No results. Informants had been checked and rechecked. Known forgers had been questioned. The victims of the forgers had been shown the mug books. They failed to make any identification. From what they'd told us, we had the artist in the crime lab draw up a composite picture of the two men. Copies of these were distributed to the people and organizations most likely to cash the phony checks. Lieutenant Saunders and Sergeant Bomey finished their investigation up in San Francisco and joined us in the search for the forgers. Tuesday, April 27th, 10:14 a.m. Frank and I checked back into the office. Lousy thing.
Yeah. Clutch was out. You know, I thought it was the pin. Sure felt like it. Funny feeling when you press down, there's nothing there.
Did he say when it would be ready?
I thought he could have it for us in the morning. I'll check the business office and get another car.
We'll try to get a good one. The last one we drew was about to fall apart.
Yeah.
I'll get it. Forgery Friday. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, that's right. What? Uh-huh. What was that address again? Yes, ma'am, I have it. Yeah. Yeah, well, do everything you can. Yes, ma'am. Right away. And get your coat.
What is it?
Check cashing agency out on Pico. The guy's there now. Frank and I left the office and checked out another car. We drove out to the check cashing agency on Pico. It was located near a large tool and die plant, and they advertised that they cashed payroll checks. 10:33 a.m. We parked the car and went into the store.
You the police?
Yes, ma'am. Are you the one that placed the call?
I sure am. I stalled him like you said. That's him back there. I told him that he'd have to wait for the manager to get back and open the safe. He got pretty huffy about it at first. Then he said he'd wait. I think he's been drinking.
Yes, ma'am. All right, we'll talk to him.
He's the one. You'll see. I spotted him right away. Took one look at him, and I knew he was the one you've been looking for.
All right, ma'am. Let's go.
Sure fits the description.
He's the one.
Excuse me.
Yeah?
You wanted to cash a check, did you?
Yeah, that's right.
Wonder if we could see your identification.
Young lady has it.
Here it is. His driver's license and his social security card.
All right, thank you. Leslie P. Bergen, is that right?
That's what it says.
Yeah, we've seen it before.
Wonder if we could see that check.
You bet. I'll get it for you.
Well, look, there's no reason to make a federal case out of this. Give me the check and I'll go someplace else. I tell you, though, you act like this to everybody who comes in here, you ain't gonna stay in business long.
Yeah.
Here you are, officer. Here's the check.
What's she talking about?
What?
Officer. She called him officer. What are you, cops?
You called it. How about it, Joe?
Yeah, broken border. Where'd you get this check, mister?
Well, what do you mean, where did I get it? They gave it to me at the plant.
Gave you this check, huh?
Yeah, that's right. Say, what's this all about anyway? How come you guys are so interested?
I wonder if we can see what you got in your pockets.
No, I don't have to show you. It's none of your business.
You been drinking, mister?
None of your business. You got no call to act like this.
All right, come on, let's see what's in your pockets.
Well, what's that gonna prove?
Now, look, Bergen, if you haven't done anything wrong, then you got no reason not to show us, have you?
Yeah? Oh, all right.
Put the things here on the counter.
All right. You guys gonna regret this, you know.
Is that right?
You just bet. I got a lot of friends in pretty high places, and they're gonna hear about this. You guys be sorry you ever started this.
Come on, you can go a little faster than that, can't you?
All right, here. Here's some keys, change, money clip.
All right, pick up the money and keep that with you. Now, just the money. Now the back pockets.
Back pockets?
That's right. We want to see what's in them, too.
Well, all righty. I'm glad to cooperate with the law. Nice to know you guys are this alert. I'm glad to know you're doing your duty.
Yeah, come on. Let's get to those back pockets, shall we?
Say, what's your name?
Friday.
Cop, huh?
That's right.
Friday, huh? Yeah, what's your first name?
Joe.
Joe Friday.
That's right. Now, come on. Get the stuff out of your back pockets. Will you stall long enough?
I bet you think I'm trying to hide something in there, huh? Well, you're wrong. I got nothing to hide. There's my wallet, comb, and that's all.
This key here?
Yeah.
Keys to your car?
No, I don't have her.
Oh, that's not true, officer. I saw him drive up. That's his car out in front, the red Ford.
That right, Bergen?
Well, now, maybe it is, and then maybe again it isn't.
You want to check on it, Frank?
Yeah.
Here's the keys.
I hate to think of it, I really do.
What's that?
Trouble you guys are going to get into when my friends in high places hear about this.
Yeah, sure. Let's look at your wallet, huh?
Why, you bet. Always glad to cooperate with the law.
No, you hold it. Just open it up. Any money in it?
I told you the money's in the money clip. Right here, you told me to keep it. You don't remember very well.
Well, these your cards here? Business cards?
Let me see.
Here.
Yeah, certainly, they're mine.
Leslie Paul Bergen, business advisor. I thought you said you worked at the plant.
Part-time job. What's your name?
Friday.
What's your first name?
Joe, I told you.
Joe Friday, huh? I'd remember that and tell my friends in high places.
How about your coat pockets? Anything in them?
Well, cigarettes, maybe handkerchiefs, matches, that's about all.
All right, let's see them.
All righty. Sure nice to know that we got officers like you, always doing your duty. Yeah, see? Nothing.
Mm-hmm. Where'd you say you got this check?
What check?
This one here, the one you tried to cash.
Oh, yeah, that check.
Yeah, that check. That's the one.
Well, I got it from a friend. He asked me to cash it for him. Just so happened I had the money, so I did. Anything wrong with cashing a check for a friend?
How come the check's made out to you?
They always make checks out to me. Always do down at the plant.
Now, look, mister, you got your stories all mixed up here. Let's go downtown and get this thing straightened out, shall we?
Joe.
Yeah.
We hit it. 23 checks all made out to him. Found them in the glove compartment of the car. Car's registered to a Leslie R. Doyle.
What's his name?
Smith.
First name?
Frank Smith.
What is this?
Oh, he's a happy drunk.
Oh.
These checks yours, Doyle?
Well, let me see. Never saw those in my life.
Well, we found them in your car.
Oh, I certainly don't understand that. In my car?
Yes, that's right. Now, come on, let's go downtown.
Where are we going?
Downtown.
What's your name?
Smith, Frank Smith.
Phony name. You wait till my friends hear about this policeman using an alias. My friends are going to hear about this, you know.
Yeah, sure.
Now, in high places.
10:57 a.m. The suspect admitted that his true name was Leslie Doyle and that the car belonged to him. We took him to the city hall. Frank ran the name through R&I, but we got no make on him. His prints were rolled, but there was no record on him. A communication was gotten off to George Brereton, CII Sacramento, and one was sent to Washington. 11:30 a.m. We took him to the interrogation room to question him.
I told you, I don't know where the checks came from.
They were found in your car.
So they were found in my car. That mean they're mine?
Looks like you had something to do with it. They all were made out to you, the phony ID you got there.
Well, maybe it's a joke. Maybe it's somebody's idea of a gag.
Well, that's not very funny, is it, Doyle?
Well, you don't have to tell me. Say, you got another aspirin, my head's coming apart.
Frank, you got it?
Here.
Yeah, thanks. Got some water?
I'll get some for you.
No, never mind. I'll take it without. Thought you might have a tap here.
What?
Sure. You turn it on and let it drip, and then you don't give people none until they answer your questions.
Yeah, sure.
You take pills like I do, you get to the point where the only important thing is to get them in your stomach.
All right. Now, how about the checks, huh?
I told you 100 times I don't know anything about them.
Then maybe we better fill you in, huh?
Yeah, go ahead. I like to hear.
We got you for trying to pass a check this morning, didn't we? You want to cop out to that?
So maybe one check. Like I said, that's no crime. I cashed it for a guy. Maybe it was the same guy who planted the other ones.
Oh, why don't you come off it, Doyle? Let's stop playing games here. We made you for the forgeries, and you know it. Your description matches the one we got. You turn up with 23 checks made out to you, all drawn on different companies. The border on the checks matches the ones we're looking for. We got witnesses who identify you. Now, why not save a lot of time and admit it? Come on, Doyle. Doyle?
Don't look like there's any other way, does it?
Not from here.
Well, if I cop out, will it help any?
What do you mean?
Like you said, now let's stop playing games. Will it help me out any?
You're liable for 1 to 14 on each count.
And if I help?
All we can do is see that it's marked down that way.
That's all?
That's all.
Well, then I got nothing to lose by not talking.
That's the wrong way to look at it.
You guys haven't come up with any other way.
We don't make deals, Doyle. You know that.
Well, all right. I'll play it that way, too.
Now, let's get this 510, huh? Your true name, Leslie Richard Doyle?
Yeah.
Charge, suspicion 470 PC, forgery, April 27. Where do you live, Doyle?
I told you once.
Well, tell us again, would you?
19,540 North Edge Hill Avenue.
Is that a private home?
No, it's an apartment.
What's the number?
Say, you got another aspirin. This headache's the worst one I ever had.
Don't worry, they're going to get worse. We continued to talk to Doyle. He told us that he'd come from back east about a year and a half ago. He said that he'd never been arrested and he had no record. He refused to tell us who his confederate was in the forgery operation, and he told us that we'd get no help from him in proving that he was mixed up in it. We booked him at the main jail, and then we got in touch with Lieutenant Saunders and Sergeant Bomey. Together with them, we arranged a special show-up. The victims of the forgers were asked to be present, and 12 of them gave us a positive identification of Doyle as the man who'd victimized them. The others said that he was not the man. When confronted with this information, Doyle confessed to being one of the men involved, but he still refused to name his accomplice. A week went by. Each day we questioned Doyle. Gradually, we pieced together a picture of their operation. Doyle still refused to tell us where we could find his partner. The kickback from Washington and Sacramento arrived, but gave us no new information. All known friends and associates of Doyle were checked out. From them, we found out that Doyle did work with another man, but that none of the witnesses could identify him. The rumble was that the two men had split up because of Doyle's drinking. We were able to get little other information on the missing partner. Wednesday, May 5th, 11:40 a.m. Frank and I checked into Captain Welsh's office.
How about it?
No, nothing, Skipper. He says that he knew Doyle, but he doesn't know the other man.
Any of the other leads pan out?
No, none of them.
Where do you go from here?
Well, talking to Doyle's friend, we found out they used to hang out down there on Wilshire and Olympic. You know that area down there?
Yeah.
Well, Frank and I have been talking it over. Looks like about the only way to bring him out is to go looking for him.
Well, so you guys go down there, eh?
Well, we checked on that. The bunch down there aren't too chummy. They don't talk to strangers much, so we figured that maybe the best idea would be for one of us to go undercover. Maybe pose as a thief, buy our stolen goods, something like that. We might get a line on them that way.
Yeah, might work.
Well, not much choice now. We've tried about everything else.
Well, which one of you is going to do it?
Well, I thought maybe I'd be the one.
No, I don't know if that's such a good idea.
Why not, Skipper? Joe took the last one.
Yeah, but didn't you work that area when you were in Vice?
Yeah, but that was a couple of years ago.
Still might be some people down there who remember you. You better take this one on Friday.
All right.
When do you figure to start?
I thought in the morning.
Okay, work out the way you're going to keep in contact. All the details will give you the help you need to swing it.
All right, Skipper.
I don't know, Joe. Seems like you're always the one to draw this duty. Ought to be my turn sometime.
I'll trade with you.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action. Smokers all over America are changing to Chesterfield because Chesterfields are premium quality throughout in both regular and king size.
King size Chesterfield contains tobaccos of better quality and higher price than any other king size cigarette. That's certainly important to every king size smoker. Of course, it's the same fine tobacco as in regular Chesterfield. There's absolutely no difference, except that king-size Chesterfield gives you more than a fifth longer smoke.
So remember, the modern way to sell cigarettes is the Chesterfield way. First and only cigarette with premium quality in both regular and king size.
Chesterfield is much milder. Chesterfield is best for you.
Thursday, May 6th, 9:30 a.m. I left my apartment and went down to the vicinity of Wilshire and Olympic. I spent an hour wandering around the bars in the area, and then I checked into a small hotel down on South Hill. I registered as Joe Kelvin from Phoenix, Arizona. I told the clerk that I was in town on business and that I'd be there as long as it took me to conclude the deal I was working on. I spent the afternoon in a bar on 4th Street, and I got friendly with the bartender. I asked him if he knew Leslie Doyle, and he told me that he'd seen him around, but that he didn't know him very well. I asked if he'd ever seen Doyle with another man. He said that he had, but he didn't know who he was. The bartender went on to say that the two men had frequent arguments and that they usually ended up with the other man walking out and Doyle going on a drunk. He told me that I might be able to get some additional information on the man in a cafe over on 5th Street. I spent the next 3 days wandering around that area, eating my meals in the restaurant. At the end of that time, I had no new leads. Frank, Saunders, and Bomey were still working on the case, and Frank told me that the bad border check passing was still going on. Further conversations with Doyle netted them nothing. At the end of a week, I'd gotten to know one of the waitresses at the restaurant, and she indicated that she knew Doyle's partner, that she knew him merely as Mac. She was unable to tell me where I could find him. I got in touch with Frank Smith, and he ran the name through the moniker file in R&I, but he got no make. Friday, May 14th, 10:56 a.m. I stopped for breakfast.
Morning, Joe.
Hi, Agnes.
What'll it be this morning?
Well, let's see. Orange juice, couple of eggs, toast, and coffee.
Eggs sunny side up?
Yeah. How's the bacon?
Great, just like always.
All right, couple of pieces.
Yeah.
Want to bring the coffee right away?
Yeah.
Is that the morning paper?
Yeah.
Thank you. What happened to the sports page?
Here. You don't look good this morning, bad an eye?
Yeah, had trouble getting to sleep last night.
Mm-hmm. How's the deal coming?
Oh, all right, I should wind it up in a couple of days.
What business you in, anyway?
Oh, you could call me kind of a broker, I guess.
That right?
Yeah. Coffee's good and hot.
Yeah. Just what does that mean,
What, the coffee?
being a broker?
Oh, I buy things for a price and I resell them for more.
Things you buy. They hot?
Oh, why do you ask that?
Just wondered. Rumbles around that you're in town buying stolen stuff.
That right?
That's what they say. Is it true?
I don't know. I haven't been talking to the same people as you.
That the reason you want to get in touch with Mac?
Well, look, if I answer that, I've answered the first question, haven't I?
Yeah. That the reason, Joe?
Oh, it might be. Where's the sports page? Is it around? Why, do you know where I can get in touch with them?
I like you, Joe.
Yeah, well, I think you're nice, too. I'd like to have the sports page if you could find it for me.
No, I mean it. I think you're all right.
Well, thanks, Agnes. That's nice of you to say that.
You've never tried to get fresh. Different from most of the guys that come in here.
Is that right?
Sure. Guys all the time getting fresh, asking me out. Not you, Joe. You got a girl in Phoenix?
Oh, I might have, yeah. I haven't been back for a while, you know.
Mm-hmm. Lucky girl. What's she like, Joe?
Who's that?
Girl in Phoenix.
Oh, I guess she's a little like you. She's a nice girl.
You want to get married?
Well, I don't know. It kind of depends on this deal here I'm working on.
It'd be nice if you got married. I'm going to get married someday.
That'll be nice.
Be real nice if you got married. Depends on this deal, huh?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. I'll tell you how to get in touch with Mac.
11:14 a.m. I continued to talk to Agnes. She told me that she didn't know where Mac lived, but that she could put me in touch with a man who might. She gave me the address, and I drove over to the place. It was a rooming house on South Vermont. I talked to the man, and he told me that he'd seen Mac during the past week, and that as far as he knew, the suspect was still living in an apartment house on 7th Street. 1:15 p.m. I called the office, and Frank Smith came out to meet me. We arrived at the apartment house and talked to the manager, Mrs. Nancy Holmes. She told us that she had a tenant named McLean who answered the description we gave her. She told us that McLean had lived in the apartment for the past 8 months. She went on to say that she didn't know what business he was in, but that up until a few weeks ago, he was in the company of a man called Doyle. Her description of the man matched that of the suspect. 2:46 p.m. In the company of the manager, we went through McLean's apartment. We found 14 checks made out to him, and all of them drawn on large companies. All of them had the same broken printed border. Frank and I waited for him to return. 5:32 p.m.
What are you doing here?
Your name Gene McLean?
Yeah, who are you?
Police officers.
These checks here. Where'd you get those?
On the desk over there.
You got no right to go through my things.
We'll talk about that downtown. Come on, let's go.
Now, look, maybe you guys made a mistake, huh? Maybe you got the wrong fella. Can't we work something out? This is a pretty good thing. There's enough for everybody. I'm sure we can make a deal, huh? No reason to act like this.
Where's the press, mister?
Huh?
The press you print these up on, where is it?
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know anything about a press. I don't even know what you're talking about.
It won't work, McLean. We got Doyle.
What's he told you?
All we need.
Well, then he's told you where the press is, too.
We're asking you about that, Mr.
Well, like I said, I don't know what you're talking about.
You drive a car, McLean?
Yeah.
Where'd you park it?
On the street. No garages in this crummy place.
No, that's not true, Mr. McLean.
Oh, keep your nose out of this. You've been spouting off too much already.
That's not true, Mr. McLean. I heard everything from the hall. These officers asked me some questions, and I answered them. Police have never given me any trouble. 10 years I've been managing this place. Never had no trouble before. Now you come in here and louse things up.
Turn it off. Come on, let's get out of here.
Now you just wait a minute. Come in here and call this a crummy place. You didn't know I heard you, did you? Well, I did. Listen, officer, he's lying when he says he doesn't have a garage. He may keep his car out on the street. Maybe that part's true, but he's got a garage. You just bet he has.
Come on, let's get out of here. Stick around here and listen to this loony old bag. She's cracking up.
Where is the garage, ma'am?
I'll show you. It's just down the street. It's an old place. They rent it from the Pearsons. Just down the street. I'll show you.
From the old bat. Real harpy. Sticking her nose in where it don't belong.
Don't you talk to me like that. I don't know what it is that these officers are looking for.
Yeah?
But I'll just bet they'll find it there.
6:27 p.m. Mrs. Holmes showed us down the street to a garage set behind a large house. The door was locked, but McLean produced the key. We went over the place, but we found nothing. 6:55 p.m.
Satisfied now? Told you there wasn't anything wrong. I told you you wouldn't find anything here.
It's got to be here someplace, Joe.
Yeah. How long you had this place, McLean?
A couple of months.
Now we can check the owner on that.
Aren't you guys ever going to give up? You maybe got me in custody, but that don't mean you're ever going to be able to prove anything.
I think maybe we'll be able to.
Joe.
Yeah.
Take a look here. On the floor.
Look here, see the old wooden floor, and most of the nails are all rusted over. And right here, they look pretty new. Looks like the wood's been moved.
How about this, McLean?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Grab that hammer, will you, Frank, over there?
Yeah, sure. Here you go.
All right. Now maybe we can take a look.
You guys are wasting your time. You know that, don't you?
Yeah, well, it's our time. Don't you worry about it. You want to give me a hand here, Frank?
Yeah.
All right. You got it?
I got it.
All right.
It's all dug out down there.
Yeah. Should take a look. There's something down there. How about this, McLean?
I don't know what you're talking about.
The press, huh?
Yeah. Wait a minute. A package over here. Let's see what's in it.
Look, you got no right to come in here and tear up the place. I'm going to see a lawyer about this.
How about it, Joe?
Yeah. Printing press. Take a look.
Huh. Engraver's plates. Look, here's the broken border.
Yep. All right, McLean, let's go.
You just wait. My lawyer's going to hear about this.
Is that right?
Yeah, you bet it's right. Come in here, tear up the floor. You got no warrant, you got no right. Sick of being shoved around by you guys.
You haven't got any beef, McLean.
I'll decide that.
No, you're wrong,
huh?
man. Somebody else is going to do that.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On August 25th, trial was held in Department 89, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, here are two important things to remember. Everything that goes into your Chesterfield makes it the premium quality cigarette, and it's the only cigarette that gives scientific evidence of real smoking pleasure. Try much milder Chesterfields today. They're best for you.
Leslie Paul Doyle and Jean Rowell McLean were tried and convicted of 10 counts of forgery. They received their sentences as prescribed by law and are now serving their term in the state penitentiary, San Quentin, California. Forgery is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary for a period of not less than 1 nor more than 14 years.
Ladies and gentlemen, with long-range aircraft and atomic bombs, the enemy is only hours away from where you live. Our Air Defense Command relies on radar to detect enemy aircraft. But it is possible for low-flying planes to remain undetected. You can help defend America by volunteering for the Ground Observer Corps, a group of civilian men, women, and teenagers who report the presence and activity of aircraft. For information, write or phone your nearest Civil Defense Center.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Art Gilmore, Whit Connor. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
For a million laughs, tune in Chesterfield's Martin and Lewis show Tuesday night on this same NBC station. And sound off for Chesterfield, regular or king size. You'll find premium quality Chesterfields much milder. Chesterfield is best for you.
Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Tonight, it's Adventure with Barry Craig, confidential investigator on NBC.
From 71 years ago, February 8th, 1953, Jack Webb and Dragnet. Up next on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, I've always called Escape the red-headed stepchild of suspense. The shows were always good, but they never had much of a big continuing sponsor. Escape, that's from that same date, 71 years ago. Ben Wright starring in an episode called Jetsam. That's next here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
Are you saving old newspapers, magazines, paper bags, and boxes? Paper is a vital war material, and there's a serious shortage. Sell your waste paper or give it to a local charity. And now we move out of the theater and into the street.
We'll get to Escape in a moment. Dragnet, as you heard from 71 years ago, February 8th, 1953, a Sunday. And now Escape from that same Sunday, 71 years ago. In the newspapers of that Sunday, these were some of the headlines. A long-range U.S. Air Force B-36, pride of a potential atom bomb fleet, blew up in the air minutes after its crewmen jumped to safety a few miles from the end of a transatlantic flight. The U.S. 7th Air Force claimed unusual security restrictions on details. It announced only that the giant bomber was flying with 15 other B-36s from the Carlswell base in Fort Worth, Texas, on a routine training mission. Senator Ferguson, the Republican of Michigan, said today the Air Force planned to spend hundreds of millions of dollars for spare engines and other aircraft parts, which it should now admit is not necessary. Ferguson pointing to a report by a special Air Force study group to back up his contention that too much money going for spare parts rather than completed aircraft. President Eisenhower signed his first bill into law, a measure creating a new Undersecretary of State, and formally nominated Donald B. Laurie to fill the post. The president's action on his third Saturday in the White House came after he had worked through a list of morning appointments, including one with representatives of the American Society of Newspaper Editors. The flood tide of spending rising to new high levels in the states. An Associated Press survey of the 44 state capitals where legislatures are meeting showing proposed budgets higher in 21 states, they're lower in only 5. In the other 18, there's little change, or in most cases, the budget's still being prepared. Pat Ward, the prosecution's playgirl ace in the vice trial of Playboy Mickey Jelke, reportedly said today she's willing to tell her story to the world, but her lawyer still insists the trial should be closed. President Eisenhower announced he would nominate Mrs. Claire Booth Luce as ambassador to Italy. All indications were the Senate would confirm her. Senator Sparkman of Alabama demanded the administration tell Congress whether it plans a naval blockade of China, as Senator Noland of California renewed his support of such a move. And Dr. James B. Conant, new High Commissioner to West Germany, disclosed that President Eisenhower's directed him to speed to Germany, where decisions critical of the defense of the Western world against communism are soon to be made. And good news from Franklin, West Virginia. 2 Washington men who had all but given up hope were rescued from a big cave near Franklin after being lost underground for almost 3 days. Harry C. Breeden Jr. and 20-year-old Kenneth Sterner, a power company tester, had gone to without food and sleep since they started the impromptu explorative jaunt in Trout Rock Cave about 2:30 Wednesday afternoon. They were shaky and almost frozen. And that's some of the day's news, as seen in the morning newspapers of Sunday, February 8th, 1953. We'll take a quick break, and then when we come back, we will have Escape.
Now attention please, all passenger car owners. The Office of Defense Transportation has asked us to give you this message. This is National Tire Registration Week. To keep our American transportation system safe and working, the government is asking you and me to register all tires of passenger cars during the coming week. This means you register all tires of your passenger car, including the spare and any others you may have, without delay. For to get a new gasoline rationing book, or to keep the one you already have, you must register your tires first. You can get an official registration blank at your local rationing board, your garage, auto club, or at any filling station. Then when you've listed all your tires, file your registration form with your rationing board. Or if you live in the West or Middle West, present it when applying for your gas rationing coupon. Remember, the government ruling is you must register your tires or you cannot get any gas. So act tomorrow to register yours.
A friend of my mother's got into what they call tire recapping, and she lived with that for years and years and years and did lots of tire repairs at an era when if the tire blew up or there were problems with it, they would just replace the tire. Well, in World War II, you couldn't do that. You had to make it last as long as possible. Now, we go back to Sunday, February 8th, 1953, 71 years ago. The episode of Escape entitled Jetsam, starring Ben Wright.
Tired of the everyday grind? Ever dream of a life of romantic adventure? Want to get away from it all? We offer you Escape.
Escape, designed to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure.
You are crouched in the center of a barren room, the heat of the tropics numbing your brain, your bare hands bleeding and torn. While facing you, his giant hands reaching for you, is the brute of a man whose life depends upon his killing you.
Listen now as Escape brings you John Russell's unusual story, Jetsam.
The pub known as the Crown and Anchor was much like any of its fellow establishments along the Sydney waterfront. It was noisy and ill-lit, and always crowded with a clientele that worked hard at being boisterously happy. The liquor was cheap and potent, and quickly available. At the Crown and Anchor, there was a little something for everyone. New acquaintances, male or female, old friends to be met, and, of course, arguments. Those wonderful, time-consuming, liquor-bred arguments.
What was that again?
I said and I say again, you bloody English think you won the war yourself.
Well, that's a filthy thing to say.
Or maybe you won it yourself in your pretty little Spitfire.
Well, at least I didn't spend my time mucking about in the desert with Montgomery.
No, you don't.
Big lumbering cunt.
The fleet alarm has just collapsed. Here, give me a hand, Alf. We'll chuck him out in the street.
And now, sitting in the waiting room of Morley & Sons solicitors, Junius Peabody couldn't remember too well everything that had happened. He remembered the Crown and Anchor, and the man with the scarred face, and waking at dawn on the cobbled street face down in the gutter, but he wasn't too clear on the reasons for it all.
Sir John will see you now, Mr. Peabody. Good morning, Junius. Sit down.
I'm sorry about not keeping our appointment the other day, Sir John.
It was almost 2 weeks ago, Junius.
Yes, I'm sorry, sir.
I wanted to see you because I've had another cable from your father.
Yes, sir?
Sent along a letter of credit, drawn in the amount of £50. From what he says in the cable, I don't think he expects you to come back to England.
But the last time I wrote, I said I'd be home. I said I'd work for him there.
Yes, I don't think that's of much interest to your father anymore. Would you care to see the cable?
No. No, thank you.
Now, he also has instructed me to advance you no more money under any consideration.
So I'm not to be a remittance man after all.
Junius, do you have any plans?
I have no plans.
Well, what about your commission?
Who can use a 35-year-old flyer, one that can't even hold a rum glass steady?
Yes, and that's something else, Junius. This drinking of yours.
This is going to be a lecture, Sir John?
Well, in a sense, yes. Now, ever since the war, you've done your best to become an alcoholic. Why?
Why does anyone drink?
Well, may I tell you why I think you do? The war. You're still fighting it. Still in a Singapore prisoner of war camp. And you were a good officer and a good pilot, I'm told. You could have gone on if you'd let yourself. Why can't you forget what's behind you? Forget what you went through? Others have.
This is a lecture, isn't it?
Well, you came to Australia at the war's end. You haven't done a lick of work since.
Now, really,
you lived as well as you could on the money your father sent out here. You've held only one position in all that time, and that you managed to keep for just 3 weeks.
I was out sick. In a hospital.
Oh, you were dead drunk in a back street house.
I was out sick.
Call it what you want. But don't use the war as an excuse for your own shortcomings.
Oh, it must be very fine to be successful and smug and righteous.
Now, Junius, listen to me
No,
for a
I
moment.
won't. I'm sick to teeth of men like you and my father. Preaching, moralizing. I'm tired of the lot of you. Now, if you'll be good enough to give me that letter of credit, I will get out of your office.
Now, you're talking like a child.
The letter, please.
Yeah? Junius, where are you going?
For as long as my money holds out, Sir John, I shall be at the noisiest, filthiest, and most enjoyable bar in Sydney.
And that was the start of a most colossal binge for Junius Peabody. The entries were badly blurred, but he could trace himself up through Brisbane, Port Moresby, Macau. There were assorted voyages and counter-voyages, women's faces, and the cloying aroma of heavy perfumes. There was a hectic session when he and a Norwegian schooner captain hit the bank at Fantan and swore eternal friendship amid champagne baskets. And it was this same captain who landed him finally, the champagne baskets having been emptied, on a small island. And it was on this island that he found a bar where a tall, cynical white man by the name of Bendermere cashed in the remains of the dwindling letter of credit for the last magnificent splurge. And now, weeks after leaving Sydney, Junius awoke on the wide sandy beach, watching the dawn spread over the butternut sea.
Hello. You don't happen to have a flask or anything handy about you?
Well, if I had one, it would be empty.
Shame it is. I've a notion I'm about to have the fantods.
The what?
Fantods, you know, the creepers.
Oh. Yeah. I could use a bracer myself.
I'm the Sydney Jack. Your name's Peabody.
That's right.
It wasn't half a party you give last night at the Bendermere's.
Bendermere's? It seems to me I was thrown out of there last night. Is that right?
That's right.
Yeah.
You was, and me, and the big Dutchman, Willems. But it was your fault. You started playing chuck farthing among his bottles with a bunch of copper spikes. I never seen a man hold his liquor worse.
Well, I paid for it, didn't I? It was my money, and heavens knows you had your share of it.
Well, Lord love you, chum, that I did. Hey, seeing as he threw us out, I suppose your credit's gone.
I imagine. Sidney?
Yes?
What is this place?
This is a beach, chum. And the island's Fufuti.
And what the devil's Fufuti?
3,000 miles from the nearest pub.
Well, I did have some cufflinks and things. I wonder what became of them.
Hey, you got any smokes left?
Oh. Yeah. Here.
Thanks. Well, you're on the beach now, matey, that's for certain. And you won't like it, you won't.
Do you?
Me, I'm used to it. But look at your hands. I'll lay you never did a day's work in your life with them soft hands. You was probably a gentleman. But you're a beachcomber now, matey, a lousy beachcomber. And you needn't expect me to do no begging for you, for I won't no fear.
Junius turned and examined the features of the Sydney duck, who was hunched on the sand beside him. The prominence of the nose and upper lip, the thin pink ears, the jutting teeth that gave him the feeble ferocity of a rat. And at the same time he was conscious of himself, only in a different way. Here was Junius Peabody, washed up on the beach at the far edge of the world, like any other bit of useless jetsam, to stay and to rot.
Pretty low.
Oh, it ain't so bad. Nobody starves here, that's one thing. You can always fall in with a wedding or a birthday or something. Or maybe you come across a new chum with a bit of brass. Some flat who's willing to stand the drinks.
Like me?
Oh, there's plenty like you. The pearl fishing brings them in, you see. When they're stony like you, they usually take the job till they get a chance to get away again. That is, if they're able to do anything at all. What can you do?
That's a good question, Sidney.
Well, what can you do?
I can fly a Spitfire, and I'm a good judge of French brandy.
That's not much, is it?
Not much.
Hey, here, what's the name? Where are you going?
Going to take a swim. Have you had yours yet?
Oh, morning bath on the beach at Fufuti.
Well, you can't tell, Sidney. You might like it.
Ah, go on. Can't prove that water ever helped anybody. Hi. You really are going in.
Yes, I really am. Keep an eye on my things, Sidney.
Oh, right you are, me lord. Hope the bath ain't too cold, me lord.
Junius walked down the sand alone to the water's edge and stood looking out to where the sun sent a long, glittering path toward him across the morning sea. And he was suddenly conscious that he made an ugly figure under the clear light. He moved out into the water till it reached his knees. Then something bumped against his shin, nearly tripping him. He could see the object floating nearby. It was a rough lump of some substance, grayish-brown, the size of a boy's football. He picked it up. To the touch, it was greasy.
Sidney! Sidney Duck!
What?
Come down here to the surf a minute.
I'm close enough now. You got something to show me? Bring it here.
This was floating about in the water. I think I know what it is, but I can't quite believe it.
Think you know what is?
This. Sit up and have a look at it.
Right. Hey, boy, the great Lord Harry. It's the stuff. Look at it. All smooth and greasy like. Oh, we ain't struck it rich nor nothing. Oh, no, not much.
But shouldn't there be an odor, a perfume?
That comes later when it's not so fresh, and anybody else would know it. Hey, what could this be but ambergris, worth nearly £2 an ounce, right here on Fufuti. Here, let me take a feel of it.
£2 an ounce.
Ambergris is right as rain, and there must be 8-10 pounds here, and half of it's mine.
What?
I say half of that's mine. Ain't I been palling along with you? Wasn't I here? It's a fair divvy. I want me half.
Your half? Nothing small about you, is there? No, my lad, this is my insurance of this island. I'll give you whatever I don't need.
Oh, now, Mr. Peabody, you wouldn't forget an old friend who came to your side when you was on the beach, would you?
Why, you dirty old windbag. You just be happy if you get anything.
Mr. Peabody, I know a gentleman like you who'll do the right thing.
Yes, well, don't you worry, Sidney. You just...
Now, lie cozy, Mr. Peabody. It's a real shame to see a gentleman like you lying all stretched out in the sand. But since you're there, I'll just relieve you of this insurance of yours. And now, I bid you a respectful good day, Mr. Peabody.
In just a moment, the second act of Escape. But first, tomorrow night at most of these same CBS radio stations, hear William Powell in a startling anti-communist drama titled The Man Who Cried Wolf on Suspense. Tomorrow night on CBS Radio. And now, back to Escape.
Why Junius Peabody hadn't been killed by the Sydney Duck's blow at the base of his skull was hard to understand. But it was only a matter of minutes later that he presented himself at Bendamere's saloon and general store. It was the only place Junius was known on the island of Fufuti, and Bendamere was the local authority. He was at once the best loved and the best hated individual, being police, landowner, merchant, trader, and purveyor of bad alcohol. Junius stood a moment, trying to get his breath, and then...
I've been robbed.
So?
The property of mine has been stolen.
Money? This was?
No, not money.
Then what do you care?
What do I care? What are you talking about, man?
What was this property you lost?
Well, that's not important to you. I want to know if you're going to do anything about it.
No. Why should I?
But you're the only authority on the island.
That's right. Who was the man who stole from you?
Sydney Duck.
He hit you and ran off?
Yes.
I could help you, but I won't. What? I've seen too many of your kind here on the beach. Drift stuff that gets washed in. You're not worth it.
All right, I'll do this myself since you won't help.
Where are you going?
I don't know, but this island isn't so big I can't find the Sydney Duck.
You go alone to retake this property of yours?
Since I must, yes.
You're a fool. They'll probably kill you.
Well, they'll probably... They?
Those that live at Tenbow Head, that's where the Sydney Duck will be now. That's where they all go when they must hide because of some minor lawlessness.
The Sydney Duck has something of mine, and I'm going to get it back. And when I do, I'll be in to see you to talk business.
I still think you're a fool.
Bendemeer, last night you cashed in the last of my letter of credit.
That's right.
You were glad enough to help me then.
You had money.
That's the only drive you have? Money?
It's the biggest. But let me tell you more. I don't mind helping a man who's worth something, a man who wants to help himself, but you... I know you're kind. You're filled with rum and useless. You're Jetsam. You always will be.
You're very sure, aren't you?
I know you're kind, pitying yourself, thinking no one understands you or your problems, so you swill in rum in order to hide. You always will.
I'm going out to Tenbow Head, and I'll be back.
I'll give you a drink if you get back.
It took the better part of 2 hours for Junius to work his way over the lava cliffs and crevices, knife-like and treacherous, to Tenbow Head, or what was better known as the Rocks. And here, his fingernails bleeding, his clothes torn, Junius finally found the Sydney Duck and Willems. They were seated on a small ledge, half hidden by pandanus leaves, overlooking the blue Pacific 30 feet below. Between the hulking German and the little Sydney Duck, was the prize. His prize. The gray-brown ball, now enclosed in a torn fishnet. Empty-handed, there was no way to take the ambergris from the two of them. Junius crouched low behind the foliage, thinking. And then a plan came to mind, so simple that Junius smiled. With a rush, he cleared the foliage and, stooping, clutched the filled net with one hand. Then, before the two startled men could more than cry out, he dove into the ocean 30 feet below.
Vandermeer!
Coming. I was out in the storeroom and Peabody.
That's right. I'm back.
Yes, so I see. But not in good condition.
It'll do. You needn't stare. I'm a paying customer now.
As how?
Ambergris. My property. Over 10 pounds of it.
What? Was it this the Sydney Duck robbed you of?
That's right.
And you went out to the rocks to get it back from him yourself?
From them. Willems, the German, was with him.
By yourself? You did this?
Look, there's the stuff. Now about that business proposition.
Concerning this?
Right.
How much do you want for it?
1,000 silver dollars or 2,000 shillings.
I don't have that much about me. Suppose we say a standing credit for 1,000 drinks instead.
I want money, not liquor.
It amounts to the same thing. By the time you drunk yourself to death, I'd simply have the money back again.
No, it doesn't, because I'm going to leave this island. And to do that, I need money. So let's talk business, Bendermere.
Not yours to sell, you bloody thief.
What?
Mr. Bendermere, this man here, this Peabody robbed me and my partner Williams of that what's lying on your counter there. And if you want to do business, it should be with Williams and me.
Yeah, that's right. That's ours. Now, what you give us?
I've been told it's not yours.
Sydney, you're a lying little cheat. You know that's mine. I found it.
That belongs to the Sydney Duck.
That's a lie.
Don't tell me
I'll buy it. All of you.
Oh, Mr. Bendermere, after all, it's our word against his. And they're two of us.
But what if two of you are lying? How do you suggest it be settled?
Fight for it.
Yeah, fine. We'll go outside, the three of us, and whoever comes back in, it's rightly theirs.
Yeah, good.
The minute I set foot outside that door, you'd have a knife in my back.
Oh, you don't sound as brave as you did before, Mr. Peabody.
Not against the two of them. I'm not a fool, that's all.
Against one, perhaps.
Villains?
Why not? After all, you could kill Sydney with one blow.
You must hate people.
Just weaklings.
All right, I'll fight. And if I win?
I'll buy from you. Sydney, sit down in that chair where I can keep an eye on you.
Yes, all right. Now give it to him proper, Williams.
There are no rules. Go ahead.
You're big and stupid, Willems.
Now that's enough for you, no? Huh? Will you ausstellen einmal mehr, Kleinchen, einmal mehr. Nein, genug.
And so, you see, it is easily settled. Sydney Duck.
Yes?
Get your friend out of here. I have business to discuss with Mr. Peabody. You feel better now that you are bathed and whole again, huh?
Now, let's get on with it. I want money for this stuff. I want to leave this place as soon as possible.
You can only get off this island when and how I allow you. You see, mine is the only boat, the Likely Jane. You can see her through the window there. A brandy.
I had my final drink in this place last night when you threw me out.
Sure?
Quite.
Well, just in case. Now, let me suggest my plan. The island of Nukava, which I own, is well planted with coconut crop. However, Nukava is on the edge of the earth, the farthest corner, and the loneliest, and the driest. There are 12 Kanaka boys there, but I need an agent, someone I can trust.
Why do you tell me?
A white man could live there if he wanted to, and if he were fit to live at all. Of course, once he was there, he'd be stuck for a year on a coral gridiron. There's not a drop of anything to drink, save water, and that is brackish.
Look, Bendemeer, what about this ambergris? I've got more than 10 pounds of it. Will you buy it?
You can't very well take it anywhere else if I wouldn't buy it. Can you? Now, I'll make you an offer. I'll buy this lump of stuff from you, and I'll buy it either two ways. I'll give you a half interest in Nukava, and you go there at once to take charge as agent, or else here is the first of your brandy, and I'll keep you perpetually drunk as long as you last.
Nukava.
Once you're there, Peabody, there's no escape. You'll sit and fry.
What for? Why do you offer me a choice like this?
Because it amuses me. Because I please. Because... I know what you'll do.
Yes?
I've been watching men of your sort all my life. And I know just what they're worth. Drift on beaches, scraps, trash, jetsam, regeneration, rot and drivel. You can't save yourself any more than you could lift yourself by your own bootstraps. It suits me to prove you this way.
There's your stinking brandy on the floor to say that you're wrong, Bendemeer. You lose.
Oh, so?
Yes. I'll go to Nukava.
As my agent?
Yes.
You'll stay and run the island for a year?
Yes, if only to prove there are some scraps thrown on the beach that are worth something.
So I see. So I see. The likely Jane will sail within an hour.
Yes, I'll be aboard.
An hour or so later, as Bendemeer watched the likely Jane set a course for Nukava, there was a smile on the face of that remarkable man, curiously unlike that of a loser's chagrin. He was still smiling as he went back to his storeroom to put the place to rights. There was a clutter of odds and ends of cargo from one of his surf boats, which had upset the day before while hauling cargo out to his schooner. Most of it had been salvaged by his Kanaka boys along the shore. But a certain tub containing tallow had lost a part of its contents. However, he was able now to restore the missing tallow, a large lump, weighing perhaps 10 pounds or so.
Under the direction of Norman MacDonald, Escape has brought you Jetsam by John Russell, adapted by Norman MacDonald and starring Ben Wright. Featured in the cast were John Daner as Bendemeer, Lawrence Dobkin as Sir John, and Charlie Lung as the Sydney Duck. The narrator was Edgar Barrier. Editorial supervision is by John Meston, and the special music for Escape is composed and conducted by Leith Stevens. Next week.
You are standing in inky blackness, looking up a long flight of stairs, at the top of which lurks something unbelievably evil, while in the moving shadows behind you, coming closer to you, is the shadowy figure of something that could only come from a nightmare.
So listen next week when Escape brings you Anthony Ellis's terrifying story, I Saw Myself Running. on CBS Radio, hear Robert Q. Lewis filling in for Arthur Godfrey, who's off on an Air Force mission. On House Party, another of our Monday through Friday mainstays here on CBS Radio, popular Art Linkletter holds the reins. Don't miss them tomorrow on most of these same CBS radio stations. This is Roy Rowan speaking. America now listens to 105 million radio sets and listens most to the CBS Radio Network.
"71 years ago, February 8th, 1953, Escape here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Tomorrow we'll have comedy again, an episode of The Bob Hope Show with Dorothy Lamour and Paulette Goddard, My Friend Irma starring Marie Wilson, The Eddie Cantor Show from 1944 with his guest Ginny Sims, a 1936 edition of the Jack Benny program as they celebrate his birthday a few days early in New York, and an Amos and Andy show from 1945, and an episode of Fibber McGee and Molly and Lum and Abner. That's all straight ahead tomorrow on the Friday Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. But right now, Lou Ayers and Lionel Barrymore, The Story of Dr. Kildare.
Extra, extra paper! Get your paper here!
Yeah, it says here in the paper folks are shouting for sugar. If you ask me, they ought to give it to us. No sense of the sugar rationing anyway.
Yeah, a lot of foolishness. Why, they say the warehouses are full of it.
Yeah, I guess those fellas down in Washington can't think of anything better to do. If you want to know what I think, this sugar rationing business is all the bunk.
Have you heard that kind of talk? Don't be misled by it. The truth is that although sugar imports have improved somewhat in the last several months, ship sinkings off our Atlantic coast have increased. Remember this. The next time you hear someone say that sugar rationing is unnecessary, a wise person does not spend his entire check on the day he gets paid. A wise nation does not eat up its reserve stocks in wartime. It rations them to make them last as long as possible. Sugar rationing is necessary.
And now on this Thursday Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, Lou Ayers, Lionel Barrymore, The Story of Dr. Kildare from 74 years ago, February 8th, 1950, and the story of Marjorie Northrup.
The Story of Dr. Kildare.
Whatsoever house I enter, there will I go for the benefit of the sick. Of whatsoever things I see or hear concerning the life of men, I will keep silence thereon, counting such things to be held as sacred trusts. I will exercise my art solely for the...
The Story of Dr. Kildare, starring Lou Ayers and Lionel Barrymore. Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer brought you those famous motion pictures. Now this exciting, heartwarming series is heard on radio. In just a moment, The Story of Dr. Kildare. But first, your announcer. The Story of Dr. Kildare, starring Lou Ayers as Dr. Kildare and Lionel Barrymore as Dr. Gillespie.
Blair General Hospital, one of the great citadels of American medicine. A clump of gray-white buildings planted deep in the heart of New York. The nerve center of medical progress, where great minds and skilled hands wage man's everlasting fight against death and disease. Blair General Hospital, whose ministry of mercy reaches out from its quiet halls to the highways and byways of a huge metropolis.
Yes, sir, Doc. Many's the time Kildare rode with me in this ambulance. Of course, he was just an intern then, like you, before they made him a resident.
Interesting, Wayman. And keep your eyes on the road. Those are the police flares around the smash-up just ahead. She was unconscious when Wayman and I got there, Dr. Kildare. I couldn't bring her to.
Deep shock, Morton. She's had tetanus antitoxin, of course.
Yes, sir. 100,000 units. The leg looked pretty bad, so we rushed her right in.
Boy, I come in from Riverdale and nothing flat. You should have seen me, Doc.
I've seen you, Wayman. Nurse.
Yes, Doctor?
Blood plasma. Supplement with glucose intravenous.
Yes, sir.
Morton, how long had she been lying there on the road?
At least a half an hour, I imagine. Not much traffic out there this late at night.
Too bad. Might have made a lot of difference. Know who she is?
No, sir. No identification on her.
Driver's license?
No driver's license. No nothing, Doc. She must have been doing 70 when she met up with that tree.
Nurse, has Dr. Gillespie been called?
Yes, Doctor.
Will you check again to see that he's on his way?
Yes, Doctor.
If only we could locate her family. Got to have their consent.
For what? To save her life?
I guess it almost amounts to that, Morton. We have to protect the hospital. When we go into surgery, we've got to have consent from either the patient or next of kin.
Oh, there? You looking for me?
Oh, yes, Dr. Gillespie. This girl should be operated on immediately.
What's wrong with her?
Circulation completely destroyed. One lesion gangrenous already. Not a chance of saving her leg.
Well, then what are you waiting for?
I haven't got consent.
Why not?
Because the patient's in no condition to sign. We haven't been able to reach her parents.
Looks like we're sort of stymied, Jimmy.
Yes. No, we're not. That girl's going into surgery.
You mean you'd amputate? Without consent?
If it's the only way to save her life.
Kildare, this girl is your patient.
Thanks, Dr. Gillespie. Nurse, prepare the patient for surgery.
Good morning, Dr. Kildare.
Good morning, nurse. Oh, how's our patient?
Miss Northrup, the amputee?
Yes.
Oh, no change, Doctor. Despondent, uncooperative. Apparently no desire to overcome her handicap. It's been the same for 3 months now.
It's understandable. If I could only find someone who knows her. It's not easy for an attractive young girl to accept the loss of a leg.
You mean mentally, Doctor?
Yes. Well, that's my problem. I'll go in and see her now. Good morning, Miss Northrup.
Get out.
Oh, I've had the same greeting for 3 months.
Leave me alone, Dr. Kildare. I don't want to see you.
Miss Northrup.
Don't you understand? I hate you.
I do understand. But please, won't you tell me the name of some person you know, some of your friends?
I have no friends. And if I did have, I wouldn't want to see them.
But you'll need them when you leave here.
I'm not leaving here.
You can't stay here forever, you know. When you're cured, you must leave to make room for some other patient. Please, tell me their names.
No. Leave me alone.
Why won't you try to walk? Come on, I'll help you.
Don't touch me. You feel sorry for me. I can see it in your face.
I don't feel pity for you or sympathy. All I want is to be able to close the book on your case and mark it successful. I won't be able to do that until you walk.
How can you look at me and imagine that I'll ever be called a success?
When I look at you, I can't think of one reason why you shouldn't be. You have youth and beauty.
And on the debit side of my ledger, I have one leg. The books just don't balance, Dr. Kildare.
You'll only listen to me. You can learn to forget your problem. You will forget it in time. Now, you must learn to walk. Just work with me. Give yourself a chance.
A chance, Dr. Kildare. That's very funny. A chance to go swimming again. A chance to go dancing. I'd do a very graceful rumba, Dr. Kildare. I'd rather die.
Nosy? Nosy, Parker? Nosy!
Yes, Dr. Gillespie.
Nosy, why in thunder are you always poking around here when I don't want you? And as soon as I do need you, you're off in another country.
Oh.
Didn't I tell you to get Dr. Kildare?
He's on his way now.
Well, how long does it take a man to come down 4 flights?
Exactly 1 minute, Dr. Gillespie.
Oh, hello, Kildare. Get out, Nosy.
Oh, that man.
Kildare, I hear you've been having trouble with that Northrup girl in 408 again.
That's right. Who told you?
Oh, I got my spies all over the place. Got your every move charted like a rising temperature.
Don't I know? Well, Miss Northrup is difficult, all right. I've done everything to induce the proper mental outlook.
Well, she certainly seems to be well enough physically and medically.
I should have been leading a normal life by now. Every day she stays here makes it worse for her. She thinks she can hide from the world for the rest of her life.
You've done everything you possibly can for her?
Yes, and it doesn't work. If only there was some way I could make her have faith in me, believe in me, believe that what I'm doing is best for her.
I think that perhaps it'd be best for both of you if you got off the case.
No. If Miss Northrup succeeds in disposing of me, I'll be only the first in a long succession of doctors.
Well, that's a good analysis.
It's not enough to save a patient's life if you also destroy the incentive to live. Amputating that girl's leg was a delicate operation that I had to perform. But getting her to accept the fact and find the ability to cope with it is an even more delicate operation. No, Doctor. Deserting that girl now would be like walking out in the middle of an operation, leaving the patient helpless on the table.
I like to hear you talk like that.
If only I knew how to get to her, win her over to my way of thinking. Must be a way. There must.
You'll find it, Jimmy. You'll find it. I believe in you.
Dr. Kildare, calling Dr. Kildare. Report to the 4th floor immediately. Room 408. Room 408.
See you later, Dr. Gillespie.
Every right in the world to see her. I know she wants to see me.
You want me, nurse?
Oh, Dr. Kildare.
Dr.
This man
Kildare.
insisted.
They told me you were her doctor. You've got to let me in to see her.
Whoa, now slow down here a minute. Who is it you wish to see?
Marjorie Northrup. We've been engaged for over a year, Doctor.
Where have you been for the last 3 months?
I was looking for her. Please take me to her, Doctor.
What's your name?
Willard Mason. What's wrong with her?
She'll be all right.
Well, then you'll let me see her.
No. Miss Northrup has issued orders that no one is to see her. And the hospital has to abide by those orders.
No one will stop me from seeing her. Just tell her that Willard Mason is here, that's all.
No, it's no use. I think particularly you're the one person she's afraid to see.
What? Afraid to see me? Well, why?
Mr. Mason, she was in an automobile accident. It was necessary to amputate her right leg.
Amputate? No, I don't believe you.
You still want to see her?
More than ever. She knows how much I love her. She must know that what happened can't affect my feeling for her in the slightest.
You might consider that what has happened may have affected her feeling for you.
But at a time like this, Doctor, I should think she'd want to see me more than ever. She'd need someone to lean on.
I agree with you, but I'm afraid she won't. She resents pity and sympathy.
But I won't give her any. I'll just make believe that nothing's happened. I'll avoid any mention of her leg.
That's the one thing you mustn't do. It only makes it more obvious. You must try to understand what she's going through mentally.
I'm sorry, Doctor. It's such a terrible shock. Hard to imagine Marjorie.
Dr. Kildare, Miss Northrup in 408 is flashing.
Certainly, nurse.
Room 408. That's where she is. Right up the hall.
Yes, but no. Hey, wait a minute. Where are you going?
Room 408. I'm going in to see her.
Don't go in there. Don't go in there. I tried to stop him, Dr. Kildare.
That's all right. We'll just wait here a minute. Come on, nurse.
I can't see you, Marge.
Get out! I don't want to see you. Get out!
Marge, please. It doesn't matter.
Leave me alone. Please, leave me alone.
I'm sorry, but darling, we belong to each other.
Nurse.
I'll have this man removed, Doctor.
No, leave him alone.
It doesn't matter, Marge. I love you. Marge, I've always loved you.
Don't look at me. Don't look at me.
I'm glad you told her how you felt, Mason, but I think right now it'd be best for you to leave.
All right, Doctor. I will. Marge.
Please.
Yes.
Miss Northrup, surely you know now that what happened to you doesn't matter to him or anyone else. He still loves you, and if you love him, that's all that matters. Oh, please, try to understand.
He saw me. He saw me.
Yes, he saw you, and you've lived through it. When you lose the fear that you now have of facing people, you'll have won your fight. Don't you see?
I see. I see everything. You planned his coming here to humiliate me. I hate you, Dr. Kildare. I hate you.
The story of Dr. Kildare will continue in just a moment. Continue with the story of Dr. Kildare, starring Lou Ayers as Dr. Kildare and Lionel Barrymore as Dr. Gillespie.
Dr. Gillespie's office, Nurse Parker. What? Those clinical reports on rehabilitation cases? Oh, yes. Dr. Gillespie will be sending them back to you today. Certainly.
Good afternoon, Parker. Is Dr. Gillespie in?
Oh, yes, Dr. Kildare. And is he anxious to see you?
Really? Trouble, Parker?
Trouble? Dr. Carew just left the office black as a thundercloud.
That's not an unusual occurrence in this office.
Dr. Carew was yelling that Gillespie had better let you off that Northrup case immediately.
Oh, I see. Thanks for the tip, Parker.
Parker, what's all the whispering for? Oh, still there. Well, come in. Sit down. Now, tell me how you're coming on with the Northrup girl.
Well, Dr. Gillespie, I'm afraid I'm going to have to give up on this one.
Jimmy, you don't fool me. You've never admitted defeat in your life.
I haven't forgotten that Dr. Carew ordered you to take me off the case this morning.
Kildare?
No reason why you should get in trouble because of me.
I never get in trouble. I don't need anyone wiping my nose. I'll handle my own affairs in this hospital.
Just the same, I think I'd like to be relieved of the Northrup case.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, that fool Carew was just here. Laid down the law. Well, maybe just as well.
You know who'll be taking over?
Haven't assigned another doctor yet. Might drop in on the girl myself for a day or two.
Good. And you can disregard all the basic mental therapeutic treatments. I've tried them. I pleaded and cajoled. I tried an appeal to reason and intelligence. I was cruel and cold. Nothing drew the slightest response.
Kildare, I've removed you from the case, but I can still ask a staff member to accompany me when I visit a patient.
Dr. Gillespie, I don't really know why I worried about you getting in trouble. You go looking for it. I'd be delighted to accompany you.
Well, how are you today, Miss Northrup?
Hello, Dr. Gillespie. What is Dr. Kildare doing here? I thought he was relieved of my case.
Well, now, Kildare is showing me round until another doctor is assigned to you. It's just procedure. I have to learn all the facts. Let's say Kildare is a guest.
Not my guest. Dr. Kildare saved my life when he amputated my leg. I preferred to die. So I'm not grateful to him for what remains of me.
Miss Northrup, since I'm no longer your doctor, may I just say one word as a friend?
As a friend?
Yes. You seem to feel you have no value in society, but believe me, you have a place. A worthwhile place, and it's waiting for you whenever you make up your mind that you're ready. The sooner, the better.
Dr. Gillespie, make him get out. I don't have to listen to him now, do I?
Certainly not. Well, you heard the young lady.
What?
Kildare, I'm beginning to get the impression that you were derelict in your duty. There's no reason for Miss Northrup to be in such an emotional state.
Perhaps I was the wrong doctor for her.
You certainly were.
You certainly were.
I tried my best.
Your best wasn't good enough.
Not good enough, Kildare. Not good enough. Do you understand?
Yes, I quite understand.
Miss Northrup, I promise you won't have to see Dr. Kildare again. Is that better?
Much better.
You know, there's no reason for you to remain in your bed. As your doctor, I recommend that you get around a little.
No. I don't want even you to see me in my condition.
I don't want you to go outside this room. I just want you to be comfortable here. It's warm. Why not sit over near the window?
I won't leave my bed.
You mean you don't have the courage? You wouldn't even do it if you were alone.
You said I didn't have to listen to him, Dr. Gillespie.
That's right. Kildare, you'll report to my office when we've finished here.
All right, Doctor.
And don't you ever dare to accuse Miss Northrup of not having courage. If and when she wants to go to the window, I'm sure she'll do so.
Yes. Yes. I think I'd like to go there now.
Good girl. Good girl.
There.
Now we'll just push you over here where you can get a little fresh air. There. Now, how does the outside world look to you? Going on as usual, just as you remember it?
Yes. Everything just as I... It's horrible. Horrible. Take me back to my bed.
What's the matter?
Those girls playing tennis. I can't stand it.
Well, Kildare, isn't that blonde girl down there Evelyn Williams?
Evelyn Williams?
Yes. Don't you remember?
Evelyn Williams. Yes, I do remember.
Kildare, where are you going?
I think I may have found an answer to that problem, Dr. Gillespie. I'm going to see Evelyn Williams.
Yes. You may have found an answer, Kildare.
Miss Northrup, I brought someone to see you.
No. I've told you I don't want to see anyone. You're no longer my doctor. Why do you keep coming back to torment me?
This is only a social visit from someone who has a lot in common with you.
Really?
Evelyn Williams, I'd like you to meet Marjorie Northrup.
Hello, Marjorie.
How do you do?
This is the girl you saw playing tennis on the court under your window.
I can't see that we have anything in common there, Dr. Kildare. But you play a very good game of tennis, Miss Williams.
Thank you. I was doing quite well up to 3 years ago. Almost made the finals in the women's singles. And then I had to learn all over again.
Oh? What happened?
Why, had an accident. An automobile accident.
You did? Mm-hmm. That's what happened to me.
Yes, Evelyn was a mighty lucky girl. She was out of the hospital and around again in no time.
I've often thought how fortunate I was not to lose both legs.
What did you say?
Oh, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have mentioned it, I guess.
You mean you actually have... Why, I don't believe it. This is another one of your tricks, Dr. Kildare.
No, believe me, it isn't, Miss Northrup. Although Evelyn certainly would fool anybody.
Well, I'm very flattered that you seem surprised, but... Well, I'll show you. Here. Look.
It is. It is.
Margie, I understand. I was doubtful at first, too, and then amazed, just as you are. Now I'm only very, very grateful.
And you play tennis as well as before?
Mm-hmm. Almost. I dance and ride, too.
Oh, that's wonderful. Do you think that
That you could do the same? Certainly. It only takes a great desire and a little strength of will.
And maybe more courage than I have.
Courage? Maybe. But I just got lonesome trying to hide from people. And then one day I took stock of myself. People wear glasses and they aren't ashamed. My best friend Alice wears a hearing aid and she's perfectly normal. So I said to myself, what have I got to lose? Well, here I am.
Do you suppose you could teach me to walk?
I'd be very happy to. But there's someone who could teach you much better than I if you'd allow him to.
Allow him to? Oh, of course I will. Who is it?
Dr. Kildare.
Oh. Dr. Kildare?
Yes, Miss Northrup.
You've asked me so many times to try. I think I'd like to now.
Good. Evelyn, would you help her?
Oh, of course, Doctor. Marjorie, it's very simple. There we are.
Now, stand up.
Oh, I can't. Evelyn, help me.
You'll need no more help now. Stand up.
I am standing.
Now, walk slowly toward me.
I can't.
Walk. You've been walking all your life. You have 2 legs just as you always had. Walk. Here.
I can't. I knew I couldn't.
Now, you did fine for the first time.
I'll never make it, never. I wasn't meant to walk again.
I can't wait all day for this party of yours to come off, Kildare.
Mason should be along any minute, Dr. Gillespie.
I feel like a fool sitting here in the waiting room of my own hospital. They'll be sending me out on an ambulance call if I don't look out.
Here he comes now.
Dr. Kildare, I rushed right over as soon as I got your message. Is there something wrong with Marjorie?
Not a thing in the world, Mr. Mason. And by the way, I'd like you to meet Dr. Gillespie, our chief of staff.
Oh, how do you do, sir?
How do you do, young man? Dr. Kildare here is treating us to one of his dramatic finishes.
Has Marjorie asked to see me, Dr. Kildare?
Yes, she has.
Oh, that's wonderful. May I go in?
That won't be necessary. She's coming down the corridor to meet you now.
Marjorie. Look, she's walking. Alone.
Will? Oh, Will.
Marjorie.
Darling. Oh, darling, I'm so happy.
Sweet.
Kildare.
Yes, Doctor.
Don't stand there gaping like an idiot. Come on, we've got work to do.
Of course, Dr. Gillespie, of course.
In just a moment, we will return to the story of Dr. Kildare. Once again, the story of Dr. Kildare, starring Lou Ayers as Dr. Kildare and Lionel Barrymore as Dr. Gillespie.
Dr. Kildare, calling Dr. Kildare, report to the 5th floor.
Well, what are you waiting for, Kildare?
I thought I'd like to show you a little present I just received from Miss Northrup.
She sent you a present? Mm-hmm. Girl must be ill again.
Read the inscription.
To Dr. Kildare, with gratitude. Marjorie Northrup. Very impressive.
She made one mistake.
Mistake?
Yes, it should have read, to Dr. Gillespie with gratitude.
What in the world would she be grateful to me for?
You cured her.
Ah, you're talking nonsense, Kildare.
You planted Evelyn Williams on that tennis court, and you made sure Miss Northrup saw her.
Now, see here, Kildare. That's a pack of lies. Who told you a thing like that?
See you later, Dr. Gillespie.
Nosy. Nosy Parker, that's who it was. Oh, wait till I get my hands on that woman. Nosy? Nosy? Where are you?
You have just heard the story of Dr. Kildare, starring Lou Ayers and Lionel Barrymore. Dr. Kildare is presented by arrangement with Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, producers of East Side, West Side, starring Barbara Stanwyck, James Mason, Van Heflin, and Ava Gardner. The program was directed by William P. Russo, with original music composed and conducted by Walter Schumann.
From 74 years ago, February 8, 1950, Lou Ayres, Lionel Barrymore, and the story of Dr. Kildare. Up next, Orson Welles, The Lives of Harry Lime, the Third Man prequel. Will follow these important words here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
America's fighting men need meat, the best meat, plenty of it.
That's the why of the share of the meat plan. That's why we civilians are holding our consumption to 2.5 pounds weekly.
As a housewife, I find I can still prepare delicious, nourishing meals. There's no limit on chicken and fish. And through my butcher, I'm discovering some wonderful new ideas.
Now, I'm your neighborhood butcher. You see, we want to help the housewives so we can serve all our customers fairly. Ask us for new recipes and interesting varied menus.
We all must cooperate now. Be fair to your fellow Americans. Share the meat because...
America's fighting men need meat, the best meat, plenty of it.
The first prequel that I know of was Orson Welles' The Lives of Harry Lime, the Third Man. It was the story of Harry Lime, who died in the movie The Third Man. So you couldn't do a continuance because he was dead. These events took place prior to the movie, and you get the idea of what Harry Lime was all about. This episode of the program from 72 years ago, February 8th, 1952, Earl on Troubled Waters.
Presenting Orson Welles as the Third Man. The Lives of Harry Lime, the fabulous stories of the immortal character originally created in the motion picture The Third Man, with zither music by Anton Karas.
The single most pernicious influence on the growing English boy is the shocking behavior portrayed in the American cinematograph.
To which at one time I would have added a hearty amen. Except that I was forced to admit soon afterwards that the luckiest thing that ever happened to yours truly, Harry Lime, was this same influence of the American cinematograph on one growing English boy. Both these statements were proven for me in an adventure which, if you will forgive me, I shall call The Earl on Troubled Waters.
And now, Orson Welles as Harry Lime, the third man in today's story, The Earl on Troubled Waters.
Not so very long ago, I was sipping a rather dubious Pernod in a rather dubious London cafe with a rather dubious British character of the sort known locally as a spiv. This particular spiv was using time the name of Robinson, I imagine, because he hoped that there was virtue in the number of his compatriots who bore the same moniker. He had no other pretensions to virtue. Why was I there? Well, I was there because he had asked me to be and because I had nothing better to do. He was the sort of man who managed to sound conspiratorial even when he was asking you something like...
Care for another Pernod?
Well, leaving my own preferences to one side, Robinson, I have my digestive system to consider. For better or worse, it's my only digestive system. I'd rather not make an enemy of it.
All right. No need to make a speech. I suppose you want me to get down to business, eh?
You mean to tell me, old man, that you have some business which you seriously think would be of interest to me?
You're interested in making money, I don't doubt.
Say on, friend of my middle years.
I thought that'd make you prick up your ears. Well, no, it's like this. See? Quite a bit of it. And I want to get it out of the country.
Pounds or dollars?
It's dollars. A lot of them. I pulled off a good caper, I did. It's enough for a pair of fine nest eggs, Harry, but
you can't get it out of the country because you're scared, and with every good reason, that the customs people be looking for you, am I right? Right. So you can't smuggle it out yourself. You have a problem, old man. Who's going to smuggle it out for you?
Why not you?
How much money's involved, old man?
30,000 American dollars.
Even if the deal were a 50-50 split, I'm not sure it's worth it, old man. It's too risky.
And they told me that you were game for anything. Palm himself off as anybody, they said. Take any risk. Slickest rascal this side of old Ned himself. That's what they told me.
Oh, yes. How they do go on.
Said you could outwit anybody, they did. Why? See that pair of your countrymen over there sitting in that corner?
Oh, fine, substantial citizens, aren't they?
They're gulls if ever I saw one. Innocents, both of them. But I bet even they could see through you.
You bet? What would I have to do?
I'm calling your bluff, Harry Lime. But I don't believe you're ready or able to do any of the things they say you can. My wager is 5,000 American dollars. You can't even convince those two Americans you're an Englishman.
Old man, I'd bet you I could walk on water if it weren't cheaper to pay my penny and cross on the ferry.
Yeah. Can't smuggle. No sportsman won't take my wager. I'm going off to look for a man.
Now, wait a bit now. Let's see what we've got. You'll pay me 10 grand to smuggle your 30 grand out of the country, and you'll bet me 5 grand I can't pull the wool over the eyes of Mr. and Mrs. J. American Chump sitting over there, all right?
Well, no, of course I...
Done's done, old man. I'll take your bet and smuggle your money all at once. I'll even make him think I'm nobility just to make the cheese more binding. Where's your money? Got it with you?
Yes, but...
Hand it over under the table. Under the table. That should be a familiar method for you. Come on, quick. My couple's getting ready to go.
When will you turn it back to me?
In France. It's all there, this package?
Yes.
Run along now, old man. Doesn't do my reputation any good to be seen in public with you. As of this instant, old man, I am guarding the reputation of the Earl of Linchester.
Who's that?
Me, old man, me. I pocketed Robinson's package after sneaking a quick look, and sure enough, they were American dollars, quite a few bills, and each of them of a large, coarse denomination. Then, to follow my 2 American tourists to their hotel, estimate when they'd be coming down to the lobby, and bribe a page boy to help me in my little masquerade was, for me, the work of an instant. My 2 innocents showed up conveniently just a short time before the dinner hour. It was child's play to catch the page boy's eye, make sure he was ready for my prearranged signal to him, and then bump, as if by accident, into the American.
I beg your pardon, sir.
Not at all. It's entirely my fault. Can't think why I was so clumsy. Did I hurt your foot?
No, really, it's quite all right, thank you.
You're American, aren't you?
Come, dear.
That's right, I'm from Texas.
Texas? Well, fancy that.
George, I think we better...
I thought that you were maybe an American, too, sir.
As a matter of fact, I was raised in Australia, Mr.
Perkins.
Perkins.
George Perkins.
How do you do,
This is Mrs. Perkins, Mr.
How do you do, Mrs. Perkins? Linchester is my name. How do you do, Mrs. Perkins?
Fine, thank you, Mr. Linchester. George, hadn't we better...
Well, I'm constantly being mistaken, you know, for an American, Mr. Perkins. Let me hasten to say I consider it a compliment, I suppose it's because of my neckties. Is that
Lord Linchester.
The fact is, I am by accident of birth a loyal subject of Her Majesty the Queen.
Well, that's
boy, were you calling Linchester?
Yes, sir.
I'm Linchester.
Message from Lady Linchester, sir. She phoned to say she shan't be able to meet you for dinner after all.
and for you to go ahead and meet her later.
Oh, thank you very much. Here you are, my boy.
Thank you, Lord Winchester.
Well, I guess you're not an American for sure.
Just imagine me calling you Mr. Linchester. Oh, really, I'm so embarrassed.
Please, please. Actually, I sometimes feel like an imposter myself. I've only been Earl of Linchester a very short time, you know.
Oh?
Yes, I came into the title quite recently. Now, look here, Mrs. Perkins, there's really no cause for embarrassment. If it makes you feel any better, I'll apologize for being an Earl in the first place. And now then, in the second place, I've just been stood up by my wife, so if you're not in a hurry to be off somewhere, perhaps you'll let me stand you to a drink.
Oh, it's really not necessary.
Just until I hear Mrs. Perkins say she's no longer embarrassed. Huh? How about it? You'll come to Claridge's with me? Of course you will. Come along, then. We can have a drink to all those hands across the sea. I stirred them into the lounge at Claridge's, got them seated, dropped a few illustrious names they might have heard of and apparently had, stuffed 2 or 3 drinks down their not at all reluctant gullets, and I had them all sweetly primed for the next stage.
Oh, my, this has been so nice of you, Lord Linchester.
It surely has indeed.
Imagine, George, our having met a real honest-to-goodness Earl. I know this must sound foolish to you, Lord Linchester, but it's truly a thrill.
Well, I just wish my having the title was as unmixed a blessing as you might think, Mrs. Perkins.
Well, I think it would be just heavenly.
Mrs. Perkins, if you want the truth, being an English nobleman these days is a mug's game. The government here in England, well, sometimes it seems that they're trying to penalize a man for investing his money soundly. Why, right now I'm in touch with a scheme to make some money. Big money, too. But I can't.
Well, what's the scheme, Lord Linchester? I mean, if I do say so myself, I got a pretty good business head on my shoulders.
Mr. Perkins, I'm sorry. I'd like to tell you about it. Frank, I'd like to have your advice on it. But there are others involved in it, and I've agreed to keep it quiet. Matter of fact, I'm afraid I shan't have a chance to profit by it myself.
Well, why not?
Well, you see, it involves a foreign investment. As you know, it's pretty difficult to get one's money out of the country.
You can't smuggle it out?
Well, not a chance, I'm afraid. You see, British customs people pay special attention to people with reputations like to men in my position.
If I could be of any help...
It's awfully good of you, sir, but I wouldn't dream of it.
Oh, why not? First place, we're permitted to take 15,000 American dollars out.
Yes,
we came
I
in with
know.
that much. And in second place, no reason for anyone to examine our luggage.
Yes,
George,
that's
I don't
enough.
think...
Quiet, dear.
No, but really, I don't think
Now,
I could...
please, I'd be honored, sir. Then, of course, if you see fit to let me know anything of the investment once we get to France...
Yes, well, it might work.
George, are you sure we...
Quiet, dear. Why won't it work? How much is involved?
30,000 American dollars.
Okay, that's fine. You get it to me. We were planning to take the Channel boat from Dover to Calais next Wednesday anyway.
Well, if you insist, old man, I'll book passage on the same Channel boat. On the Wednesday, we went down to the train together. I slipped my chump a package of $31,000 bills. He hid them away without any sign of nervousness. In the customs shed, I waited my turn under the letter L. Perkins came over once to chat. He had to elbow a 12-year-old kid out of the way.
Well, I'll see you aboard the boat then, Lord Linchester.
Righto.
And don't you worry about anything.
All right, thanks again, old man. Oh, look, little boy. Is there any better place to stand than under everybody's feet?
Come, Ronald, stay close to our uncle now.
In a minute.
Now, go on, Ronald, or whatever your name is. Didn't you hear your governess calling? I was just going to speak to this loathsome child again when all of a sudden I saw Robinson coming up to where I was standing.
Under control?
Now, listen, old man. Listen to me. You shouldn't be here. Run along and practice forging signatures or something, will
Just
you?
remember, I'll be on the same boat.
Right, old man. I'll endeavor to bear up under the news. Fool.
What's he, pal? A torpedo?
A what?
Don't need to climb up with me, pal. Is he a torpedo?
Wherever did you pick up this repellent language? Now, if you...
Cheese it. Here, hey, amskay, the astamskay, and me.
I had just made up my mind to cuff this provoking child where it would do him the most good when out of the corner of my eye I saw that he was right. The customs man was coming. I looked around to make sure that Perkins' pair were beyond earshot. They were.
All right, now, luggage ready?
Oh, right here, officer. Just this overnight bag.
Let's see, papers?
Oh, yes, here we are.
Yes.
I can't imagine why you singled me out for this attention, officer.
Harry Lime.
Yes.
Passport in order. You're declaring...
Just the 5 pounds allowed a British subject, officer, though I believe I could take more.
All right, I can read, thanks.
Where's the stuff hid, pal?
Scram.
What's that?
Nothing, officer. Just stifling. sneeze.
Oh, Gesundheit. Well, everything seems to be in order.
My dear old customs officer, don't sound so disappointed. Into each life, some rain must fall.
All right, now then, who's next on my list?
Powell, are you lucky? You must have been living right.
Never confuse luck with shrewd management, my odious little man. Any other questions?
Yes. When are you going to make up your mind whether your name is Lime or Linchester?
Just as my hand shot out to grab his collar, he ducked away into the crowd. I could see him with the governess and the man I heard her calling his uncle, just getting ready to board the boat. How much had he heard? Who would he tell? If only that kid would keep quiet till we were safe in the channel.
In a moment, Orson Welles returns as Harry Lime, the third man. And now, Orson Welles as Harry Lime continues today's story.
I took one last look down at the pier side as our boat moved off. I could see the governess. She was frantically looking about for that brat. He'd disappeared again. Then I forgot him and went looking for the Perkinses. Perkins?
Yeah?
It's me, Linchester.
Oh, good. Come on in, sir. Come on in.
Thanks, old man. Well, Mrs. Perkins, feel better now, do you, after getting through the customs all right?
I feel terrible.
What? Oh, I'm sorry. I touched the sea, huh? Nothing like a glass of champagne to fix that up.
Oh, I'm afraid nothing does her any good, Lord Lanchester.
Oh.
Quiet, dear. Well, sir?
You, have the envelope safe, don't you? I hope.
Right in my pocket. Here, don't worry.
Oh, fine.
I was, just wondering. Of course, glad to do the favor for you. I'm sure you understand, but, now that I brought the money through for you, I was, just wondering.
About my foreign investment possibilities,
yes. If there were some possibility of...
Perkins, old man, I can't think of anything that would give me greater satisfaction. Keener personal pleasure. I'm sure you know that.
Well, I like to think that maybe
I've already indicated the difficulty. My money's at the disposal of a mysterious financier, a man called Robinson. I'll be honest with you, I don't even know the man's first name myself. I'm sworn to the most close-mouthed secrecy about the entire venture. All I can do is promise you that I'll try to persuade Robinson to let me introduce you to him.
I had hoped, well, you know, maybe if I'd happened onto a good thing, I'd be able to finance my entire European trip.
Yes.
Well, here you are, then.
Thank you.
Yeah, you better count it just to make sure that...
My dear fellow, of course I trust you implicitly. However, just to set your mind at rest. Here we are, 1, 3, 5, 5 is 10, 5, 18, 20, 5 is 30. All here. All present and accounted for, and once again, my thanks.
We'll be stopping at the George Sank in Paris, Lord
fine. George Sank.
Your...
Absolutely, old man. I'll call you just as soon as I've had a chance to talk to Robinson.
Now, you won't forget, sir.
I swear I won't, old man. Just as sure as my name is Linchester. Goodbye now. From his cabin to mine was only a short step. I'd locked my cabin door when I left it to find Perkins and reclaim the $30,000. But just when I was beginning to think I had nothing further to worry about, I reached my cabin door and realized that it was no longer locked. That's funny. Oh, that explains it.
Come in, Lime. Shut the door behind you.
Well, I generally do, old man. I generally do. It doesn't require an order. Well, made yourself comfy, I hope? Didn't realize that you included lockpicking among your many accomplishments, old man, but on the other hand, it would have been a safe guess.
Less gabble, sit.
Come, old man. This is a time for rejoicing. Why the grim, determined expression? Get up, dance, kick your heels together. Your old friend has pulled it off again, and you are the richer by $15,000.
30?
Yes, 30. Surely your arithmetic leaves something to be desired. Suppose I run over our little agreement again. For getting your money through customs, you were supposed to pay me 1/3. Now, 1/3 of 30 is 10. In addition,
Stow the gab and hand
in
it over.
addition
Come
to
on,
which you
all of it.
wagered that I would be unable to pass myself off as an Englishman to Mr. George Perkins of Texas. $5,000 even money. 5 and 10 make 15, and so you owe me 15,000. In consequence, I owe you the other 15, half the boodle. Very simple.
Have you finished?
For the moment.
Well, good, Lime. Now I'll talk. This gun is bulky because of the silencer, see? The cabins on either side are empty. I happen to know, for I saw the passengers in them drinking in the saloon. If you like, I'll let the gun do all the talking for me. I want all the 30,000, understand? And I want it handed over now.
You seem very determined.
I am. When you reach into your inside jacket pocket, Lime, make very sure that the only thing you bring out is the envelope with the money, or I shoot. I mean it.
Dear, dear. Who would have thought that a man of your sterling character would stoop to such a double cross? Well, if it must be, it must be. I was actually reaching for the envelope when all of a sudden I heard a little sound just behind me. A sound at the door. The doorknob had just been turned. Well, I wanted whoever was coming in to come in behind Robinson's back.
Hey, where you going?
Just walking over to sit on my berth, old man. Surely you don't object to my being comfortable while you rob me of my share.
Well, just keep both your hands where I can see them.
Why should I not? Why, indeed. I reached into my pocket very slowly and carefully for the envelope, but my eyes never left the doorknob. Robinson, whose back was to the door, couldn't see it. It was opening slowly. Very slowly.
Come on, get a move on. Hand me that envelope, Lime.
Now the door was open, just as I handed him the envelope. From behind Robinson, there came a snarled command.
All right, punk, get him up. Reach for the roof.
What the...
My hand closed on a heavy ashtray as Robinson wheeled toward the door in surprise.
Why, just a kid. Come in here, you.
Thank you, Ronald.
He really had a gun.
Well, it wasn't a pea shooter.
Is he out?
Out? Well, a heavy object like this ashtray is brought forcibly to bear on a brittle object like that skull, Ronald. The result, it is fair to predict, will be a minor concussion and consequent unconsciousness.
Is he dead?
Well, Robinsons don't die so easily, Ronald, my boy. Come in. Sit down. Well, we'll keep this door closed, I think, for the next few minutes.
What you going to do?
Well, we're going to truss up this specimen till he looks like a cocoon, that's what. Not forgetting to gag him securely in the bargain. There we are.
I didn't know you really had a gun.
Oh.
Might he have killed you?
Well, I like to think he wouldn't.
He was a torpedo, wasn't he?
What's a torpedo?
Oh, you know, a gunman, a gangster.
What have you been doing, young man? Going to American gangster movies? Where do you pick up this tedious slang?
I go to all the American flicks. They're keen.
Disgraceful. There. That should keep our friend quiet for a time.
Why was he going to kill you, Mr. Lime?
Well, how do you know who I am?
I heard the customs man when he read your name off your passport.
Oh, yes, to be sure.
I heard that other man call you Lord Linchester, too, but I knew you weren't Linchester.
Ah, and how is that?
You're American, aren't you? I say, tell me, why was he trying to kill you?
Well, Robinson is a very bad man, Ronald. He was trying to smuggle money out of the country, and as you know, that's against the law.
I know that. Were you trying to stop him?
Well, that's one way of putting it, I suppose.
I say, that's splendid.
Besides, he was trying to welch on a bet he'd lost to me.
A bet?
He'd owed me $5,000 for a bet. I'll just take that. The rest I'll put safely away.
Say, how about me?
You?
Sure. Split up the swag. Didn't I save you from being...
But this isn't swag, Ronald. This is...
Just a minute, pal.
Tell you what I'll do. Here. You take this one bill,
$1,000? Is it real?
Well, it isn't unless I've been grossly deceived. Here, now, fold it up tight. Stick it into your watch pocket. That's it. You know what that is?
What?
That's hush money. Now, you run along back to your cabin, and mind you don't tell anybody about this. Anybody at all.
I have no cabin. I'm a stowaway.
Oh, my God.
I came aboard following suspicious characters.
Who?
You. And now we're partners, aren't we?
Fine, fine. So we're partners. Okay. You know what your first job will be, partner?
What?
You sit right here and keep a watch on Robinson. Make sure he can't get out of these sheets I've tied around him, okay?
But where will you...
I'll be in and out, in and out. First of all, I got to tell the captain what's happened, and I'll be back. But you stay here, right, Ronald? Promise not to stir out of this room? Very important. Somebody should be here all the time. Right? Promise?
I promise I won't move. And if he tries to escape, I'll shoot him dead.
The big thing was to get away from that awful kid. He was getting to be like a patch of poison ivy for me. I'd only have to steer clear of him for another few minutes, though the boat was nearly ready to dock by that time in Calais. Up on deck, I ran into Perkins again.
Now, you won't forget, Lord Lanchester.
Please, old man, I gave you my word as a Linchester. You're feeling better, I hope, Mrs. Perkins? I had the 29,000, 5,000 I'd won on the bet. That was tucked into a waistcoat pocket. 24,000 left. That was in my billfold, but the coast was clear. The more money I brought into France, the better the French should like it. I was about ready to be Harry Lime again, and the feeling, believe me, was good. The steamer docked, and there was a delay. The gangplank was rigged. Delay again. And at last, here I come. Down the gangway, my pulse beat normal and my heart high.
There he is. That's the man. That's the one. Seize him.
Seen you somewhere before, haven't I?
What is the meaning of this?
Seize him.
Who is this hysterical female?
He's the man who was talking to poor Ronald. Kidnapper.
Now, Miss Anstruther.
Kidnapper.
Everything will be all right in a moment.
Kidnapper? What a grotesquerie. Take your hands off me,
Where
woman.
is he? What have you done with him, monster? Where's my Ronald?
We have the same child in mind, madam. He's very probably sitting peacefully in cabin 23
Here I am.
Ronald. Are you all right?
Sure, I'm fine. Who are these men?
Never mind, dear. Don't trouble about them. They're just two very nice men from Scotland Yard who flew me over to save you from this bad man who was trying to kidnap you.
Dear madam, if you will kindly...
He's not a kidnapper. He's a hero.
Yes.
He caught a man who was trying to smuggle money out of the country, and he tied him up, and I'm his partner, and we're both detectives. And you must let him go, because there's probably a reward for the man that he caught.
Wait a mo, what's this? What cabin, sir?
Yes, certainly, the boy's right. The guilty party is, as I was just trying to tell you, in cabin 23 on the second deck. Thank you, Ronald.
And you've still got the money, haven't you?
Yes, that's so I do. Just looking for the proper person to return it to, of course. If I could just see your credentials, old man.
Right here.
Just so, and the money. Yes, it is. Here you are. I was keeping it carefully stowed away in my waistcoat pockets, you see. 5,000 American dollars.
I want to thank you very much, sir. Very civic-minded thing to do. Now, about the fellow who was trying
Come on, men. I'll show you where he is.
Ronald, you come straight back here with me. Do you hear? It's all the fault of those dreadful American cinematographs. The single most pernicious influence on the growing English boy is the shocking behavior portrayed in...
I'd like to have your name, sir, so the commissioner can send you a proper letter of gratitude.
Oh, not at all. Please, never mind, really, old chap. If I weren't rather in a hurry,
All right, sir, just as you please. But thanks again.
All right.
We'll attend to the fellow in cabin 23.
One moment, please.
Yes, sir?
That's a rather extraordinary boy. Do you happen to know his name?
Him, sir? Oh, rather. That's the little Earl of Linchester, sir. Come along, Stevens.
Right with you.
The little Earl of Linchester.
Harry Lime will be back in just a moment. And now, Harry Lime.
I haven't seen his lordship since then, but believe me, wherever I go, I keep a sharp eye out for little Ronald. Not that we aren't friends now, but I'm the careful type. My mother, who was careful too, warned me against speaking to strangers. I wish I could manage to keep her advice. And my father, who was Irish, warned me about the English, in particular the toffs and the nabobs and the high mucky mucks that he. They're the ones you got to watch. Well, I don't know about that. Some of my best suckers are in Burke's Peerage. But Daddy never said a word about the tiny tots. Well, I guess what Daddy didn't know didn't hurt him. Well, time to go. And always remember, friends, the wages of sin aren't as high as they ought to be, considering the overhead. Goodbye now.
from 72 years ago, February 8th, 1952, Orson Welles, The Lives of Harry Lime. I believe this is from the last season of the Lux Radio Theater that we're going to hear in a moment. A very different version of War of the Worlds from February 8th, 1955. Dana Andrews and Pat Crowley starring in this version. And you'll hear it after I remind you to visit our webpage, classicradio.stream, to help support our podcast. That's at classicradio.stream.
Pennsylvania Special Track 10, Pittsburgh, Akron, Cleveland, Chicago, and all points west. Aboard! Pennsylvania.
Well, Mary, I got the last two seats on the 545. Now we can visit your brother over the holidays.
Have you got a match, mister?
Sure, soldier. Say, you look blue.
I am blue. My buddy and I got Christmas furloughs. Last chance to get home for a long time, and now there's no room on the train.
Oh, what train are you going to take?
545.
Look, come over to the ticket window. I've got two seats on that train, and they're yours. I'm not the man who keeps a soldier from getting home this Christmas.
Listen, America. Trains and buses are swamped with servicemen and supplies. Is your trip necessary? Be an American. Stay home yourself and help our soldiers and sailors get home for Christmas.
Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, the first half of the Lux Radio Theater production of Orson Welles. Actually, this isn't Orson Welles. This is Dana Andrews, Pat Crowley, in a different version of The War of the Worlds. February 8th, 1955, 69 years ago today.
Lux presents Hollywood. Lever Brothers Company, the makers of Lux Toilet Soap, brings you the Lux Radio Theater, starring Dana Andrews and Pat Crowley in War of the Worlds. Ladies and gentlemen, your producer, Mr. Irving Cummings.
Greetings from Hollywood, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight we are going to take a look into a possible frightening future, as though the present weren't bad enough, and see what might happen if our Earth were invaded by another planet. It's George Pal's production for Paramount, War of the Worlds, and our stars are Dana Andrews and Pat Crowley. They will join me later for a preview of George Pal's latest production for Paramount, Conquest of Space. Meanwhile, here's our good friend, Ken Carpenter.
It would be hard to find a man who works as many hours a day as you women do. For instance, you spend 5.5 hours every week just doing dishes, and that's only for a family of 4. But Lux Liquid Detergent gives you back some of that time. Lux Liquid is made especially to help you do dishes fast and easy. It floats grease right off. Plates, glasses, utensils, even pots and pans come clean really fast. Just a teaspoonful does a dishpan full. 1 can outlasts several boxes of the leading laundry powder. Your hands stay nice, too. Lux Liquid is almost as mild as Lux Toilet Soap. The next best thing to a dishwashing machine. That's Lux Liquid. Lever Brothers unconditionally guarantees Lux Liquid is just as wonderful as we say. And the millions of women who've used it have found that Lux Liquid is as good for dishes as Lux Flakes Care is for nylons. Buy it when you market. Lux Liquid in the can with the dripless spout.
Now Act 1 of War of the Worlds, starring Dana Andrews as Clayton and Pat Crowley as Sylvia.
No one would have believed in the middle of the 20th century that human affairs were being watched keenly and closely by intelligences greater than man's. Yet across the gulf of space on the planet Mars, intellects vast and cool and unsympathetic regarded our Earth with envious eyes, slowly and surely drawing their plans against us. Mars is more than 140 million miles from the sun, and for centuries it has been in the last stages of exhaustion. The inhabitants of this dying planet looked across space with instruments and intelligences of which we have scarcely dreamed, searching for another world to which they could migrate. Their nearest world was giant Jupiter, where the atmospheric pressure is thousands of pounds to the square inch. They could not go there. nor to Saturn, nor to Pluto, planets encased in eternal ice. They could not go to Neptune or Uranus, twin worlds in eternal night, and surrounded by unbreathable atmospheres of methane gas and ammonia vapor. They could not go to Mercury. Its temperature is that of molten lead. Of all the worlds that the intelligences on Mars could see and study, only our own warm Earth was green with vegetation, bright with water, and possessed a cloudy atmosphere eloquent of fertility. It did not occur to mankind that a swift fate may be hanging over us, that it would come at the time of our nearest approach to the orbit of Mars, that it would begin in or over the mountains northeast of Los Angeles, California, on a pleasant summer evening.
Hello, Dio. This is Pine Summit Lookout. I got a smoke.
Okay, what you reading?
Azimuth, 160 degrees, 30 minutes. Right where that meteorite just hit. Did you see it?
Not me, but a couple of the guys did. Must have been a pretty big fireball.
Big. I never seen anything like it. Hey, look, you better get a pump truck over there before the fire gets really going.
Will do.
Truck number 3 to D.O. Number 3 to D.O.
D.O. to number 3. How you coming?
Still pumping water on the fire, but it's under control. Unless this meteorite heats things up again. Over.
You mean it's still red hot? Over.
Red hot is right. And as big as a barn. Over.
Who are you kidding? Over.
I said big as a barn. Mac, I think somebody ought to take a look at it. Might be something for those astronomers down at Palomar. Over.
Maybe there's some guys even closer. The station at Pine Summit reported there were a couple of fellas camping up there. Said they were scientists.
Yeah? What kind? You don't want any butterfly experts or lizard specialists. Over.
I got you. Stand by and I'll check Pine Summit.
No butterflies or lizards. Just brook trout, yes. I'm chief fry cook.
They sure smell good, don't they?
There's plenty if you'd like to join us.
Well, I'd like to, but I got to get back to Lookout. What I really meant was, didn't you two tell me you were scientists from Pacific Tech?
Mm-hmm. Dr. Bilderbeck is one of the country's top biochemists.
Then he wouldn't know about meteors.
That's your department, Clayton.
The district officer phoned us at the summit. Want us to have an expert look at that meteor. Landed about 10, 12 miles from here, over by Linda Rose.
Well, I doubt we could tell much about it tonight. Probably won't be cool enough to touch for hours yet. Maybe not till morning.
And in the morning, I'm due back at the lab.
Well, that's what I was just thinking. All right, I'll stay over. Perhaps in the morning the district officer can fix me up with a lift to Linda Rosa.
How about me?
You?
Sure. My relief's coming up first thing tomorrow morning. I'd kind of like to get a look at that meteor myself.
Good. That's a deal.
Professor?
Yes?
Those trout do smell awful good, don't they?
Change your mind?
Yeah. My wife always said my strongest point's my weakness. Well, what do you know? Look at all them cars.
Yeah, sightseers already.
Yeah, one of them's the sheriff. That's his car parked on the fire break.
Aye. Fiddler, up here.
Well, that ranger waving at us?
Yeah, that's Smith. Coming! The meteor sure plowed the tops off those trees, didn't it?
That's odd. They don't usually hit at such an oblique angle.
Hey, Smith, where is it?
Down here in the gully. That's it down there. Half buried under all that loose earth.
Ah. Still smoking.
You bet it is. You could fry eggs on it.
Ooh, really is big as a house, isn't it?
Hey, I wouldn't get you near that thing. It'll scorch you.
Oh, thanks. I'll bear that in mind.
Did you see it come down?
Did I see it?
Yes. My uncle and I were coming out of the movies last night just when it flashed across the sky. We heard the explosion when it hit here.
That's what I don't understand. Why, a meteorite that size didn't make a bigger crater.
Well, the ranger told us a scientist is coming over from Pacific Tech. He'll be able to tell you. He knows all about meteors.
Oh, he does? Really?
He's top man in astro and nuclear physics. Clayton Forrester. Well, you must have heard of him.
It appears that you have.
Well, I did a thesis on American scientists when I was working for my master's degree. Forrester was the man behind the new atomic engines. One of these days he'll win the Nobel.
He isn't that good.
He certainly is. I think that if you knew him...
I do know him. Slightly.
Oh? What's he like? I mean, as a man.
Well, for one thing, when he goes hunting or fishing, he never shaves. After 4 or 5 days, he looks about as fuzzy as I do.
Oh, you're Dr. Forrester?
Yes, that's right.
Oh, I'm Sylvia Van Buren.
How do you do?
Very well, now that I've met the Dr. Clayton Forrester. Come on, I want my uncle to meet you.
Oh, but I...
Oh, please, he's just over there talking to the sheriff.
All right, you in. Well, they won't be able to haul this one off to a museum. They certainly won't.
Uncle Matthew.
Yes, my dear.
I want you to meet Dr. Clayton Forrester, the astrophysicist. Dr. Forrester, my uncle, Dr. Collins, pastor of the community church.
Oh, I'm so glad to know you, Dr. Forrester.
How do you do, sir?
Hey, Sheriff. Look here.
Yeah, what's wrong?
Borrowed this Geiger counter off a guy that just come out here looking for uranium. Listen to it.
Mind if I try that a moment, Ranger?
Oh, no, here you are.
Oh, that's the point that pulled me toward the gully.
See what I mean?
Uh-huh. It's the meteor, all right.
It's radioactive?
Apparently. But why? It's beyond me.
You mean there's no record of anything like this happening before?
Well, I've never heard of it. Maybe I'll stick around until that thing cools off. Dr. Collins?
Yes?
Where's a good place in town where I could shave and clean up a little bit?
Well, the best place is my house, Dr. Forrester. Sylvia and I'd be delighted if you'd stay with us.
Well, I wouldn't
Of course you will.
But it may be until tomorrow.
It's settled, Dr. Forrester. And if you're wondering how on earth you can put in your time in a place like Linda Rosa, there's a square dance tonight.
All right, I surrender. Sheriff. Yes? If that meteor is radioactive, you'd better keep people away from it. There might be very dangerous radiations.
Yeah, that's so, yeah. Okay, I'll post a couple of deputies. Is there anything else?
No, but if you need me, you know where to find me.
Yeah, sure. I'll be there myself at the square dance.
Having fun, Dr. Forrester?
Sure. You know, dancing is something I don't get much time for.
Well, you should make time. Don't your girlfriends like to dance?
I don't have much time for them either, I'm afraid.
Dr. Forrester.
Oh, evening, Sheriff.
I was just talking by radio phone to one of my deputies out at the meteor. He says it's pretty well cooled off.
Good. Then we'll look at it again in the morning.
All right. I'll call my deputies back and tell them to come on in. No tourists out there this time of night. And Saturday night is Saturday night, you know.
Hey, Salvador.
Yes? What did he say?
Sheriff says to come on in.
Oh, good. Maybe we go have a beer, huh, Alonso?
Just a minute. Alonso. Yeah, it's coming from that meteor.
It's moving! Something is moving on top of it. It's turning.
It's no meteor. Alonso, hit the dirt. Hey, he's coming right up through that opening at the top. Like a snake. Yeah. Periscope like a cobra's head, only it's metal, some kind of green metal with eyes. He's turning all around. What's he looking for? Maybe us. Yeah. Maybe. Look, Salvador, this could be some sort of enemy sneak attack. We gotta radio the sheriff. Yeah. But we don't let him see us, huh? No, we crawl along this ditch till we get near the patrol car, then make a run for it, right? Maybe. Let's go. Shh, quiet. It sees us. Run, we gotta run. Faster. He's looking right at us. It's gonna kill us.
Hey, the lights. Who turned off those lights?
Now, wait, don't get panicky, folks.
Sylvia, Dr. Forrester.
Yes, Uncle Matt.
Over here, Dr. Collins.
Good. Nothing to be alarmed about. You know, at midnight they always play Goodnight Ladies and turn out the lights. I think they're just ahead of time.
Well, let's check our watches. I'll strike a match.
Let's see, I have 11:20. No, my watch has stopped.
Well, that's strange. So's mine. Dr. Forrester?
Yeah? Mine, too. Well, there's only one explanation. All our watches must have been magnetized.
But how?
Here we are, folks. Here's candles for everybody. Light them up.
Oh, Sheriff.
Yeah?
Do you happen to have a pocket compass?
Pocket compass? For sure.
May I see it, please?
Yeah, right here. All right, now what?
Well, just look at it.
I'll be hanged, but that needle isn't pointing north.
No, it isn't. It's pointing almost due west. Right to where that meteor came down.
Sheriff? Hey, where's the sheriff?
Yes, what is it, Fiddler?
Oh, hey, come take a look outside. There's a big fire out in the hills.
Is it west of town?
Yeah, due west. The reddest looking blaze I ever saw.
Sheriff, I hope your car is outside.
It sure is. Come on.
Oh, there's the reason the lights went out. Power line's down.
Yeah. It's funny. Alonso and Salvador were going to go back into town, but there's their car right over there.
Then they must still be around.
Yeah. Alonso! Salvador!
The sheriff. Turn your flashlight over there, along that ditch.
Where?
Right over there. Those two white mounds in the ditch. Are those ashes or...
Good Lord. Nothing left but the outlines. Listen, what in the blazes? Now, quick. Did you see it?
Yes. It's fantastic.
Oh, look, we've got to get word back to town. There's a transmitter in my car.
You had a car, Sheriff.
But Forrester, what is it? What kind of a gizmo is that thing?
Oh. Until a minute ago, I'd have sooner believed in fairies, witches, and ghosts. But now I think that gizmo is a machine from another planet.
Forrester, look! Coming over those mountains there.
A second meteor, just like the first. Sheriff, We've got to get word to the military right away.
Yeah, sure, but they'll never believe us. What'll we tell them?
Tell them the truth. That we're under invasion from outer space.
We'll have Act Two of War of the Worlds in a moment, after a visit with Francis Scully. Well, Francis, my spies tell me that you were out at 20th Century Fox over the weekend.
And it was a worthwhile trip, too, Ken. I went to preview their coming deluxe color CinemaScope picture about auto racing in Europe.
Oh, yes, that would be the Racers. Say, I hear Kirk Douglas is great in it.
Oh, he's in good company, too. Bella Darby, Gilbert Rowland, Cesar Romero, Lee J. Cobb, and Katie Urado are also starred.
Well, those European races are famous for their excitement and danger.
And Henry Hathaway, who directed the Racers, made sure movie fans would see the real thing. He used up over 90,000 feet of film shooting actual races.
Well, they must have gotten some spectacular shots.
Some fabulous shots, Ken. But the picture isn't all racing. The Love and Kisses department is well taken care of by Kirk Douglas and Bella Darvia. Well taken care of.
Well, with Bella Darvia and Katie Urado in the Racers, there'll be at least 2 Lux complexions on display.
Well, that's what you like, isn't it? Well, I guess most everybody does, though. There's nothing like a real Lux complexion.
And how true those words are, ladies. There's nothing like a real Lux complexion, in Hollywood or anywhere. And it's true that 9 out of 10 movie stars, like Bella Darvia and Katie Urado, count on Lux toilet soap to help keep their complexions looking like a star's complexion should. But Lux can be your soap, too. You don't have to be a movie star to have a movie star complexion. That's the beauty of Lux. It can give you skin that would be called beautiful anywhere, even in Hollywood, the beauty capital of the world. So use mild and gentle Lux. It's unconditionally guaranteed by Lever Brothers. Believe me, once you use it, you'll say there's no other soap quite like Lux.
And there you have the first part of War of the Worlds as it was broadcast on the Lux Radio Theater February 8th, 1955. That was some 69 years ago today. This is more of an adaptation, not of the Welles version of the show, but actually the 1953 adaptation of the War of the Worlds that starred Gene Barry. And the audio is what's telling for me because it sounds like what I recall from that original movie. Let's take a quick break. We will get back to the Lux Radio Theater on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
Ladies, listen. The shortage of fats and oils is still very serious, and it's worldwide. So please, keep on saving every single drop of used kitchen fat. Your butcher will pay you for every pound.
Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox continues now with more of the Lux Radio Theater and the War of the Worlds, starring Dana Andrews and Pat Crowley.
Now our producer, Mr. Cummings.
Act 2 of War of the Worlds, starring Dana Andrews as Clayton and Pat Crowley as Sylvia.
On the double there.
Hey, here come the tanks!
I said the area is under the control of the United States Marines from El Toro Base. Colonel Ralph Hefner commanding. The gully where the machine landed is almost surrounded, and... Oh, there's the man we want to hear from. Dr. Forrester.
Yes?
Would you give us your opinion, sir? Are these meteor machines from Mars?
Well, certainly from some planet other than our own.
Directly into the microphone, please, Doctor.
Well, if they are Martians, I'm sure the creatures that operate these machines must be quite uncomfortable in our heavier air and with the Earth's much stronger gravitational pull.
What do you think they look like, sir?
That's anybody's guess. We do know from animal evolution on this planet that it's possible they may have more than one brain, perhaps 2 or even more. And possibly they may even smell colors.
Smell colors?
Well, that's speculation, of course.
Forrester.
Yes?
Colonel wants you in the command post.
Well, coming. If you'll excuse me, please.
Certainly, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Dr. Clayton Forrester, head of astrophysics at Pacific Tech.
Forward observation post is on this hill. The recoilless 75s are back here, Carbon Canyon.
Colonel Hefner.
In a moment, Forrester. Command, Hefner. Yes, that's right, Captain. 2 rocket batteries on Hill 17 right now. Forrester?
Yes?
I want you to meet General Mann. He's in charge of intelligence for the Pacific area. General Dr. Clayton Forrester.
I've heard quite a bit about you, Forrester. Glad you're with us.
I hope I can be of some help, General.
You can. First, let me brief you on the latest reports. 2 machines have landed near Fresno, another outside Sacramento, 2 down on Long Island. They're outside London, they're in Naples, 1 in Santiago, Chile.
Oh, seem to be coming down at random.
It's too soon to know. But apparently that machine out there in the gully was the first down.
The lead ship, maybe?
Very likely. And the second one is exactly 2 miles due north. As I understand it, Forrester, you actually saw the first ship send out that destructive ray.
Yes, I did. There was an intense heat and light.
2/3.
Almost as powerful as the sun.
Atomic power?
Yes,
I'd say so, of some sort.
General.
Yes, Colonel.
That was a relay from the Pentagon. Santiago, Chile radios it's under attack. 2/3 of the city already destroyed.
2/3?
Yes, sir. But nothing like that can happen here, sir. We're ready for them.
Listen.
Is that it?
Yes. Let's get to the observation post now.
Lights out. Cut all lights.
Lights off. Lights off.
Lights. Lights.
Keep your head down, General. Now focus your field glasses between these sandbags.
Yes.
You see the gully?
There's a greenish light glowing over it. Wait. Something's rising.
Like a periscope?
Yes. And beneath that, a greenish machine, almost round. Just floating there in the air without propellers or jets.
It must be supported by some sort of rays. Probably a kind of magnetic flux. They must be keeping the opposing poles in balance, and that lifts the machine.
There's a second machine. And a third.
Dr. Forrester! Dr. Forrester!
Miss Van Buren, what are you doing?
Uncle Matthew insisted on coming, and I wouldn't let him by himself. Dr. Forrester, you've got to talk to him.
Miss Van Buren?
Please! You've got to stop him. He wants to go out and talk to those meteor machines.
All right, take me to him.
Uncle Matthew keeps saying we should try to make the Martians understand we're willing to be friends.
If they give us a chance to be.
I know.
All
but Uncle
command
Matthew
posts,
says it's his
stand by
duty
the
as a
fire.
minister, a man of God.
Well, where is he now?
I left him right about here. Uncle Matt? Uncle Matt!
Forrester, the machines are advancing. There's some fool out there walking to meet them.
Oh, no.
Uncle Matt! Uncle Matt!
It's too late now. You can't save him.
Artillery batteries, fire! Rocket batteries, fire! Cease fire!
Forrester, they're still there. They're untouched.
They've put up some sort of electromagnetic covering. A transparent dome that stops the shells.
They're coming at us! All batteries, repeat fire!
Why, it's impossible. One moment I got heavy artillery, tanks and rockets, whole batteries of 105s, and then that ray hits them and there's nothing. Nothing. Just a puff of ashes.
Well, now we know why 2/3 of Santiago was destroyed. Why? But not how.
I think I know, General. That heat ray neutralizes the mesons. Mesons are the atomic glue which holds all matter together. They're cut across their lines of magnetic force, and any object will simply cease to exist.
Uh-huh. And just how do we defend ourselves against it?
Not with shells and high explosives, I can tell you that. Take my word for it, General. You'd better talk to Washington about uranium and hydrogen bombs.
Here they come. Here they come!
Come on, let's get out of here.
Everybody out! All commands pull back north of Highway 60, Tunnel Bunker! Come on, hurry it up! Everybody out!
Miss Van Buren. Sylvia. Wake up. Let's not spend all morning in this cellar pit.
Oh. How long have we been here?
Well, since the Jeep ran out of gas, I guess about 3 hours. As near as I can figure it, we're somewhere southwest of Corona.
And that machine?
Well, it's gone. It headed in the other direction.
Oh, thank heavens. You know, I'm hungry.
Well, you ought to be. Come on. On your feet now. There's a farmhouse across that field. Looked like the people took off in a big hurry. But maybe they left some food.
Look, over the mountains.
Yeah. The good old Air Force.
They found one of the machines. They just disappeared. In midair.
Yeah. Well, it isn't going to do any good thinking about it. Let's hit for that farmhouse. There are times when there's nothing so beautiful, so soul-satisfying as bacon and eggs.
And the people who lived here were so thoughtful to leave us some. Where's your plate?
Right here. You know, I get most of my meals in coffee shops. It's pretty tame eating.
Well, don't you live at home?
No, I live on the campus. You see, I haven't any family.
Oh, I come from a big one. There's 9 of us, all in Minnesota except me. Well, Dr. Forrester? Aren't you going to sit down? There is a kitchen table.
Oh, yeah. Well, a big family must be fun. I imagine it makes you feel, well, as if you belong to something.
It does. Maybe that's why I feel kind of lost right now.
Yeah, I know. But everything's going to be all right, Sylvia.
Is it?
Well, at least we've got to think that.
Whatever they are, they murder everything they see. Everything that moves. We're helpless.
Sylvia, every creature that has ever lived has had some sort of weakness. Not one of them has ever been invincible. Somehow, we'll find the weakness of these Martians. Some way to stop them.
I hope so. I'll get the coffee. You know, I feel like I did one time when I was a little girl. I'd wandered off. I'd forgotten why. But I became awfully scared and lonely. Finally, I went to a church. I was afraid to go anyplace else. I stayed right by that door, praying for the one who loved me best to come by and find me. It was Uncle Matthew who found me.
I'm awfully sorry about him.
Oh, I loved him very much. Oh, I could bawl my head off.
But you're not going to. You're not the kind.
What kind am I?
The brave kind.
Clayton!
Get down, on the floor. Sylvia? Sylvia?
Yes, Clayton?
Are you all right?
Yes. It sounds right outside the kitchen.
It is. Sylvia, I've got to get a look at them.
Oh, no.
Shh. Don't you see? This is the first chance any human has had to get a real close-up of them. If I can tell General Mann and our scientists what kind of beings we're dealing with...
All right. But I'm coming with you.
Okay.
Wait. Take this.
What good is a carving knife?
Maybe none, but take it.
In the front room, come on.
see anything?
No.
Clayton, there's something behind me. Something touching my left shoulder.
I see it. Don't move.
The knife.
Don't move.
What did it look like?
I'd rather not say.
Your hands. What's that on your hands?
Blood. Martian blood. Sylvia. Sylvia, stop it. Stop it.
Clayton!
Come on, run for it.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the benefit of those of you who don't know me, I'm General Mann of G2. I've asked you here because we desperately need the knowledge and skill of each one of you. Physicists, scientists, representatives of the 6th Army Command, the Marine Corps, Navy, Air Force, the heads of our law enforcement agencies, the Civil Defense and Red Cross units. The Secretary of Defense in Washington has instructed me to give the whole picture of what has happened and what lies before us.
Let us through. I've got to see General Mann.
Let us through, please, let us through.
What's all that commotion? Major, see what that is.
Yes, sir. General Mann. General.
Yes, Dr. Bilderbeck.
That man is one of my colleagues, Dr. Clayton Forrester.
Forrester? We thought he'd been killed.
Let them through! Let them through!
Forrester, Miss Van Buren, we gave you up 24 hours ago.
You almost had reason to, General.
Yes, the Martians tried to take us alive.
What?
This morning, just outside of Corona. We managed to get away. We found an abandoned truck and drove to Pacific Tech. They told us you were here. Oh, by any chance, is Dr. Lucille Dupre in this room?
Right here, Forrester.
Oh, good. Dr. Dupre, I want you to analyze the stain on this cloth. I suggest that you leave for the laboratory right away.
What kind of stain is it, Forrester?
The blood of a Martian.
Forrester, I want a complete report of your experience. First, I think you ought to hear what I was about to say.
By all means, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the latest radio message from the Department of Defense. To General Mann, Command Post Xenophon, Los Angeles. Scandinavia presumed now in enemy control. All communications from Sweden, Norway, and Denmark blacked out. Paris now under attack. French cabinet is transferred to Strasbourg. Madrid, totally destroyed. Rome, no further word, blacked out. London, blacked out. Buenos Aires, blacked out. Philadelphia, blacked out. New Orleans, blacked out.
General Mann?
Yes.
I've heard enough to convince me. Enough, I'm sure, to convince every physicist in this room. We must answer the enemy with our final weapon.
I was just coming to that, Forrester. By order of the Secretary of Defense and authorized by the President of the United States, the city of Los Angeles is to be defended by full atomic force. 3 hours from now, this afternoon at 1600 hours, the Flying Wing will drop the newest and most deadly bomb ever built, a thermonuclear bomb of octuple power. In 3 hours, we shall know its effectiveness and possibly the fate of mankind.
In a moment, Act 3 of War of the Worlds. Ladies, when it comes to wash day, the big talk is all about Rinso Blue, the remarkable new detergent that washes whiter because it blues as it washes. And now there's even a song about it. Listen.
Hi, this is Les Paul.
And Mary Ford. This is the song of Rinso Blue, complete detergent, completely new. It gets clothes extra white and clean, 'cause it blues your washing machine. Yes, Rinso Blue gets clothes extra white because it blues as it washes. So get Rinso Blue today.
And just remember, ladies, if your present detergent doesn't blue as it washes, it's only doing half the job. So switch to new Rinso Blue. It does a grand job on dishes and glasses, too. And yet, it's so mild on your hands. Today, get new Rinso Blue. It washes whiter because it blues as it washes. And that's unconditionally guaranteed by Lever Brothers. We pause now for station identification.
And there you have the second act of the Lux Radio Theater, 69 years ago, February 8th, 1955, The War of the Worlds, H.G. Wells' novel based on the 1953 movie. And we found a copy of the script, and if you go to genericradio.com, you can find it there. Check that out, and I think you will find it of interest where you can actually follow along. Okay, quick break. We'll be right back.
Women of America, march with Uncle Sam's army. Join the whack.
Join the whack, take a crack at the axis. Uncle Sam needs your help right away. On the ground, in the air, serve your country everywhere. Join the Women's Army Corps today.
Aerial photographs must be developed and printed before their full value can be realized. As an airwhack, you can become a laboratory technician and do this highly skilled work.
There's a job meant for you, and the job you can do. Join the Women's Army Corps today.
Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, more of the War of the Worlds as it was heard on the Lux Radio Theater 69 years ago, February 8th, 1955.
The curtain rises on Act 3 of War of the Worlds, starring Dana Andrews as Clayton and Pat Crowley as Sylvia.
This report is being recorded on tape for future history. If there is to be any future history. The future of our civilization may well depend upon what happens here this afternoon.
Attention, please, attention. 3 minutes to bomb time.
In case you didn't hear that, it is now 3 minutes to bomb time.
Attention, Dr. Forrester. Please report to General Mann.
The target for the bomb is a nest of Martian machines in the Puente Hills. We are approximately 6 miles from the target. There is, however, a forward observation post which has the Martians clearly in sight and which will report back to this base by telephone.
You know, of course, that you're not supposed to be here.
Everyone else has told me that from General Mann down. But I'm only interested in where Clayton Forrester wants me.
Now, that is here.
Attention, please. 2 minutes to bomb time. 2 minutes.
Forrester.
Dupre, I thought you were back at the lab.
I just finished. That sample of Martian blood, Forrester. It's astounding. I've never seen blood crystals so anemic.
Huh. Anything else?
Yes. The structure of the corpuscles is...
Attention. The bomber is now approaching the target area. Prepare to take shelter.
Forrester, General Mann wants us in his dugout.
We're coming.
We're coming.
Watch your heads, everybody. There's not much clearance here.
Attention. 1 minute. 1 minute. If you have no goggles, turn your backs to the blast. Remember, the heat flash and concussion that follow are dangerous.
Well, General Mann.
Forrester, I want you to stand by for the first damage reports.
Certainly, sir.
Major, open the line of the forward observation post.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Observation.
Yes, sir.
The flying wing is now beginning its bomb run.
Yes, sir. General, those Martian machines are throwing up some sort of a transparent dome over themselves.
Uh-huh. That would be an electromagnetic shield.
30 seconds. 30 seconds.
Clayton,
Yes,
may I hold your hand?
of course.
20 seconds. Stand by. Ten seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Attention! Prepare for heat wave and high velocity winds.
Observation. Can you see anything?
Not yet, sir. An awful lot of smoke. General, we can see something moving. They're still there. They haven't even been touched. They're still...
Observation. Come in. Observation, come in. Well, now we know the worst.
We may not be through yet, General. No, there's still a chance. A forlorn hope, maybe, that our scientists can search out some weakness in these Martians.
Yes, perhaps biologically. That anemic blood.
Look, our battle now is for time. We've got to take our instruments and hide somewhere in the Rocky Mountains. Set up an emergency laboratory there.
Well, I'm sure the Air Force stands ready to fly your equipment wherever you wish.
That's good enough for us. Bilderbeck, Dupre, you too, Sylvia. As soon as we get back to Los Angeles, we'll gather up all the things we need.
They're coming! They're coming!
Everybody out of here! Everybody out!
Attention, please. Attention. This is an official order of the 6th Army Command. Evacuate your homes at once. Take food and water and extra clothing with you. Centers in the hills and along the beaches.
Wait here in the truck for me.
Forrester, bring only the sonic microscopes.
Okay. Which floor are they on?
The 10th, Forrester.
Hurry, Clayton.
Don't worry. I'll be back in 5 minutes.
Look at those men. They're looting, robbing.
Boys, there's a truck. That's what we need. Stop the engine. Stop the engine.
But Clayton! We'll come back for him. Start it. Start it.
No.
No.
Come on, get out.
I told him to wait here. Couldn't have been more than 5 minutes. Sylvia!
Billy Beck! You play! Sylvia! Sylvia! Billy Beck!
They went off and left you too, eh? No. Something must have happened. They'll be back. Well, they were in a yellow truck that was...
A truck? Sir, I'll give you $1,000.
Huh? For what?
Your place in that truck.
Listen, I said they'll be...
2,000.
Look, I don't want anything from you.
5,000. I'm rich. I've got it right here. My wife, servants, everybody. They all ran off and left me. But you can have any amount you...
No, I'm sorry. Money's no good now.
10,000, sir. 10,000.
Sylvia! You pray!
50,000.
Billy Beck! Sylvia!
100. Everything I've got. Everything.
Where could they be?
Sylvia!
Oh, ma'am, I'm looking for a girl. Tall, dark girl. She was driving a yellow truck and... Well, I'm sorry, ma'am, but she's lost. She's probably very frightened. Lost. She said the last time she was lost when she was so frightened. Now, maybe that's where she went. A church. Sylvia!
Fiat voluntas tua, sicut in caelo et in...
Sylvia!
Panem nostrum quotidianum da nobis hodie.
Sylvia!
Under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say,
Sylvia!
Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress.
Sylvia!
Clayton!
In Him will I trust. Surely He shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler.
Let me through, please.
Dearest! Oh, my dearest!
Oh, darling.
Shall cover thee with
The mob! They took the truck, pushed us out in the street blocks from where you left us. I ran back, but you were gone.
It's all right now, Sylvia. It's all right.
Yes. We're together.
For the destruction that awaketh at noonday. 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. Only with thine eyes shalt thou behold and see the reward. Because thou hast made the Lord, which is my refuge, even the Most High thy habitation.
Yeah.
There shall no evil befall thee.
Something's happening to the
Neither shall
machines.
any plague come nigh thy dwelling.
Come on.
For he shall give his angels charge over thee to keep thee in all thy ways.
Look, there in the street, that body.
Yeah. That's one of them.
They're dying. They're dying everywhere.
We prayed for a miracle, and it's happened.
All over the world, in London, in Paris, in Rome, Rio de Janeiro, Melbourne, New York, and San Francisco, the terrible invasion began to collapse. The Martians had no resistance to the bacteria in our atmosphere, to which we have long since become immune. Once they had breathed our air, germs which no longer affect us began to kill them. The end came swiftly. After all that men could do had failed, the Martians were destroyed and mankind saved by the littlest thing which God, in his wisdom, had put upon this earth.
In a moment, our stars will return.
Pepsodent! White, white, whiter teeth, Pepsodent for me. Whiter teeth are guaranteed. Brush 'em and you'll see.
Right. No other leading toothpaste, not one, gets teeth as clean, as white as Pepsodent. You see, Pepsodent contains the most effective tooth cleaning ingredient in the world, IMP, insoluble metaphosphate.
Wow!
That's what it's called. IMP is found only in the Pepsodent Irium formula because Pepsodent uses the entire world supply.
White, white, whiter teeth, Pepsodent for me.
And oh yes, cleaner, whiter teeth naturally mean less chance of decay and a sweeter breath with a clean mouth taste for hours.
Whiter teeth are guaranteed. Brush 'em and you'll see.
Lever Brothers makes this promise, this unconditional money-back guarantee. Change to Pepsodent and you'll see your teeth become whiter.
Brush 'em and you'll see.
Now, here's Mr. Cummings with our stars.
And here they are, Dana Andrews and Pat Crowley. Dana, how do you feel about planetary invasion?
Well, Irving, if I have a choice, I'd rather we invaded them.
Then you'll want to see George Pal's new Technicolor picture for Paramount, Conquest of Space. Because whereas War of the Worlds is just science fiction, Conquest of Space is science fact. The entire action takes place on the planet Mars and the Wheel, a man-made station some 1,100 miles above the Earth.
Mars? It's a long way to Mars, even with a space station in between.
Yes, Pat, the men who lead a fantastic existence on the Wheel are building a spaceship for flight to the moon, but later they receive orders to proceed directly to Mars.
And they make it, of course.
Yes, but it's a dangerous mission. And there's an exciting and suspenseful climax. And I think it's interesting that all the players are young unknowns who are getting their very first chance.
And I hope they'll all be as big a hit as Pat. I understand there's a good chance your name may appear in the Academy Award nominations this week, Pat, for the Best Supporting Actress in your first big role in Forever Female.
Oh, well, now that'd be too good to be true. But I'm sure Paramount's The Country Girl will be nominated. But I just don't see how anyone could choose between the performances of Bing Crosby and William Holden. And, of course, Grace Kelly's a cinch.
Well, there's no doubt at all about you and Grace Kelly being Lux girls, is there?
Oh, no, Irving. If getting an Oscar were as easy as having a Lux complexion, I'd be a cinch, too. I'll always use Lux for my complexion. It's just wonderful.
And now, how about next week's play, Irving?
Well, next week, it's an entirely different type of adventure, Dana. One of our 20 greats, a story of the search for gold by a trio of fascinating characters, and it's filled with suspense right up to the unexpected climax. It's Warner Brothers' The Treasure of Sierra Madre, and our stars will be Edmund O'Brien and Walter Brennan.
Oh, I'll have to listen to that, Irving. Good night.
Good night. You are both great.
You know, you women certainly have a right to complain about all the time you have to spend doing dishes. Well, it takes about 5.5 hours a week just to do the dishes for a family of 4. And considering that doing dishes is only one of the chores you have to do every day...
Well, it certainly proves the truth of the saying, women's work is never done.
But at least it's done easier with Lux Liquid Detergent. Yes, with Lux Liquid, you can get those dishes out of the way really fast and easy. Made especially for dishwashing, Lux Liquid floats grease off, gets plates and glasses sparkling clean.
And you can skip the drying, too. Just rinse and let them drain dry.
Just a teaspoonful does a dishpan full. 1 can outlasts several boxes of the leading laundry powder.
And when you use Lux Liquid, your hands stay nice.
Yes, ma'am. Lux Liquid's almost as mild as Lux toilet soap.
Ken, tell them about the way it's packed.
Well, Lux Liquid is packed right in a can that won't break with a dripless spout that prevents spilling over the sides.
Know how much I like Lux Liquid, ladies? I like it as much for dishes as I like Lux Flakes for nylons.
Lux Liquid, like all Lever Brothers products, is unconditionally guaranteed. Your money back if you don't agree it's every bit as good as we say it is. Buy a can of Lux Liquid next time you mark it. It's the next best thing to a dishwashing machine.
Lever Brothers Company, makers of Lux Toilet Soap and Lux Liquid Detergent, invite you to be with us again next Tuesday evening when the Lux Radio Theater presents The Treasure of Sierra Madre, starring Edmund O'Brien and Walter Brennan. This is Irving Cummings saying good night to you from Hollywood.
Ladies and gentlemen, Radio Free Europe is our way of telling people in the enslaved countries about American life and its freedom. Radio Free Europe is a citizen-sponsored organization, and it urgently needs your support. You can play a personal role in the crusade for freedom by mailing your contribution to Crusade for Freedom in care of your local postmaster. Dana Andrews may soon be seen in the Universal International Technicolor production, Smoke Signal. Heard in our cast tonight were Les Tremaine as General Mann, Herb Butterfield as Dr. Bilderbeck, Bill Boucher as the sheriff, Paul Freese as the narrator, Parley Bear as fiddler, Ken Peters as the reporter, and Howard McNear, William Conrad, George Neese, Robert Bailey, Herb Ellis, Irene Tedrow, Don Diamond, Jack Crucian, Frank Gersel, George Baxter, Truda Mason, and Eddie Marr. Our radio play was adapted by Leonard St. Clair, and our music was composed and directed by Rudy Schrager. More and more Lux laundries are opening across the country. These carefully selected professional laundries use the same Lux Flakes you use at home. Gentle Lux Flakes plus professional methods means the cleanest clothes ever. And since Lux Flakes are so much easier on all fabrics, your clothes will last longer as well as look better. Let a Lux laundry be your family laundry. Look for that Lux sign. And join us next Tuesday night to hear Treasure of the Sierra Madre with Edmund O'Brien and Walter Brennan.
Let's visit with Fibber McGee and Molly tonight on the NBC Radio Network.
I don't know about you, but that was an outstanding production. It really was. The movie's still out there, the 1953 version of War of the Worlds. And by the way, the movie that was mentioned earlier, Conquest of Space, it is out there as well. So you can see those as well. I mean, it wasn't a great movie, but it succeeded in, bursting through the veil of space. Alrighty, Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Tomorrow, Bob Hope, my friend Irma, Eddie Cantor, Jack Benny, Amos and Andy, Fibber McGee and Molly, and Love and Abra. But next, The Adventures of Jungle Jim.
For 19 straight months, the cost of living kept going up and up and up. Then on May 18th, 1942, price control went into effect on most of the things you eat, most of the things you use, and most of the things you wear. Since that time, your cost of living has stopped climbing. Price control keeps down the cost of things you buy. It protects your dollar. It holds down the cost of rent in many areas. It assures you that the cost of most consumer services such as laundry and cleaning and household repairs, will not go up just at this time when you're making the things you now have last for the duration.
Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, we're going to go back 88 years for another episode of the continuing serial, The Adventures of Jungle Jim, February 8, 1936, and more on the mysterious Batwoman.
Presenting The Adventures of Jungle Jim. Last week, Jungle Jim relieved the saddened mind and heart of the Reverend Chalmers by assuring him that Lynn was alive and safe with Kolo, while at that very moment she was calling for help in the jungle hideout. In the meantime, intrigued by the suggestion of Jacques Labat that Jungle Jim was in love with Lynn Chalmers because she was so feminine, Shanghai Lil surprised the big French-Canadian by suddenly appearing in a dress instead of her usual riding breeches and boots. Before Labat had recovered from his astonishment, she ordered him to bring Jungle Jim to her and to leave them alone together. When Jim appeared before her, Shanghai Lil declared she wanted him to marry her. The thrilling adventures of Jungle Jim are pictured each Sunday in the Comic Weekly, the world's greatest pictorial supplement of humor and adventure. The Comic Weekly, each page printed in full colors, is distributed everywhere as an integral part of your Hearst Sunday newspaper. And now we continue the story. Sitting languidly in her fan-backed wicker chair after making her audacious proposal of marriage, Shanghai Lil coolly gazes up at the open-mouthed Jungle Jim.
Well, Jim, what's your answer?
Why, I hardly know what to say.
You know what I expect you to say.
What do you mean?
I expect you to say, yes, of course.
Why do you want to marry me?
One reason is because I'm fool enough to have fallen in love with you.
You don't expect me to believe that, do you?
Why not? Aren't you a handsome man? Haven't you broad shoulders, a slender waist, and strong, powerful arms?
So is your friend Labat.
Labat, that animal.
Nevertheless, he fits the same description you have applied to me.
This hardly seems the time to joke. I never was more serious in my life, Jim. I've never met a man quite like you before. I used to dream that one day I'd meet my ideal. Then my illusions were broken one by one. And at last I abandoned all hope of meeting anyone who could measure up to my expectations of the man I would call husband.
And now I'm elected, eh?
Yes, Jim.
If I may remark in passing, you certainly have a peculiar way of showing your love for me.
I have? Why?
Didn't you turn me over to that ape man of yours to be tied to a post and whipped?
Why, yes. Yes, I did. I'm sorry about that. You see, I'd promised Labat that he could have his revenge for the beating you gave him in a Flint's Cafe the day we met. So I had to keep my word. But that account is squared now. I want the two of you to become friends.
I suppose Labat wants to bury the hatchet before he gets what I'm going to give him at the first opportunity.
Listen, Jim, Labat is my overseer. You licked him once, now he's licked you. That evens up the score.
Does it?
Of course. Oh, come now, Jim. Don't pretend you're going to hold that against Labat or me.
That remains to be seen. You said a few minutes ago that one reason you wanted to marry me was because you had fallen in love with me.
Yes.
That leads me to suspect that there must be some other reason behind your demand. Usually, in entering the state of matrimony, love is supposed to be the complete and only reason.
That is my only real reason.
Then why did you say it was one reason?
Why, you picked me up on something that had no meaning, Jim. It was just a phrase. I spoke in generalities.
Are you sure that's all you meant?
Certainly. Why all this third degree?
Well, maybe it's because I can't understand why you should suddenly find yourself in love with me. This is only the third or fourth time you've seen me.
Evidently you don't believe there's such a thing as love at first sight.
I certainly don't. I've heard lots of folks pull that old bromide, but it doesn't fool me. There just ain't no such animal.
That's what Lily DeVril thought, too, Jim. Until you came here.
Apparently, that's your story, and you're going to try to stick me with it.
How can you talk like that when a woman bears her heart to you, as I have?
All right, we'll skip that part of it. But you've got a mind as well as a heart. What's in that?
I don't know what you mean.
You never go in for anything unless it means some return for you. And romance wouldn't be any different as far as a woman like you is concerned. What could you get out of marrying me? That's what I want to know.
Oh, you think I have an ulterior motive?
I sure do.
Well, if I was looking for one, I could easily find it. You see, Jim, most of the natives on this island have heard of you and are very fond of you.
Go on.
As the Batwoman, I already have a good part of them under my thumb. Together, we could rule this island, Jim.
Oh, so that's it.
You may not know it, but we could develop its resources very profitably. What do you say now, Jim?
Just this. Listen to me, Shanghai Lil. You set yourself up as a goddess in the eyes of these poor, trusting people so that it would be easier for you to cheat them.
Oh, Jim,
You're a crook and a murderess.
Stop.
I have no use for you.
That's enough. Hello, Goku, come here and take Jungle Jim back to his cell. Jim, we'll be married this evening. Dr. Chalmers will perform the ceremony.
I don't think he will.
I say he will if I have to torture the wedding service out of him.
At that very moment, back at the hideout, Kolo is giving chase to the black-skinned native who has grabbed Lynn Chalmers and started off through the bush. Stopping only to pick up his rifle, Kolo goes crashing through the foliage and brush.
Missy! Missy!
With the powerful hand of her captor over her mouth, Lynn is unable to call out as she is dragged further and further into the bush. Hampered by his struggling prisoner, the native is unable to make speed. And in a moment, Kolo comes within sight of them. But he is afraid to fire his rifle because his bullet may strike Lynn. Suddenly, the native sees Kolo. Pulling the girl in front of him to form a shield, he fires at his pursuer. Kolo disappears amid the foliage.
Kolo, are you hurt? Kolo, save me! Save me!
As Lynn renews her struggles to get free from her captor, Kolo works his way through the foliage to get a better angle of attack. Finally, he gets within range. Pointing his rifle into the air, he fires a shot to attract the attention of the native. Then he calls.
Run, Missy! Run back to hideout!
As Lynn breaks away from her captor, both the savage and Kolo start shooting at each other. Suddenly, the savage pitches forward on his face. After making sure the man is dead, Kolo calls,
Missy! Missy! Him dead now! Missy!
Here I am, Kolo.
Wait for Kolo, Missy! Me shoot boy try take you away! Kolo, kill him!
Good. I was so afraid he killed you, Kolo.
No need. Be afraid, Missy. Kolo know how to hide in bush.
Oh, that was awful. He almost had me, Kolo. I wonder where he was taking me.
Him, one of Batwoman boys, Missy. Him take you to her.
Are you sure?
Me sure, Missy. See?
Oh, what's that thing?
Dead bat. Him wear round neck. All boys of Batwoman wear bat tied round neck.
How horrible. Put it away, Kolo. I don't want to see it anymore.
Yes, see, Missy.
Now, do you know what we're going to do?
Go back hideout, Missy.
No, we're not. We're going to find Tuan Jim.
Tuan Jim say wait. We wait.
Are you going to start that all over again? I listened to you before when I said we ought to follow Jim. So we stayed at the hideout and waited for his signal, and look what happened.
Kolo know this happen sometime.
Well, it's not going to happen again.
No, Missy. Kolo stay near you all time now. No leave hideout.
We won't leave the hideout because we're not going back to it. This time you'll do as I say. It's foolish waiting for a signal. If Jim isn't in need of our help, he'd have said it long ago.
Missy no understand. Tuan Jim say him no make signal only when him need help. No signal, all good. Get signal, come quick, help.
No matter what he said, Kolo, things aren't working out as he expected. We've given him plenty of time. Now we'll go on until we find him.
Missy, how you get here?
You mean in this place, here in the brush where we are now?
Yesy, Missy.
Why, you know as well as I do. I was dragged here.
Missy, go back hideout same way.
Kolo, let go of me.
Missy, come with Kolo.
Meanwhile, Jungle Jim has been taken back to the dungeon in which the Batwoman is keeping him and the Reverend Chalmers.
So Shanghai Lil wants you to marry her, does she, Jim?
She's gone past that, Reverend. She's definitely made up her mind that you'll perform the ceremony.
What?
Yes, tonight.
No, I shan't do it. You know I won't, Jim.
Perhaps they'll make you change your mind.
Oh, so she intends to use a little persuasion, does she?
If you refuse, yes.
Of course I shall refuse.
Now, hold on, Reverend. I know you're my friend. And as such, of course, you feel bound to defy our captors. But if you do, it's going to mean more torture.
They tried to get an apology out of me, didn't they? Well, I refused, and they haven't got it yet.
But you've got a blistered body.
Ah.
These devils are up to anything. I couldn't let you submit to any more suffering on my account.
Listen to who's talking. You offered your life to free me.
That was different, Reverend. I'm just a knockabout adventurer. I haven't any home, any family, and darn few friends.
Oh, nonsense.
What happens to me doesn't matter. But you've got a life of service to humanity. You've got a daughter who needs a father.
Jim, you may not have any family, nor any permanent home, but you've a great many friends. Everybody here in Malaysia knows and loves and respects Jungle Jim. They all say you're the squarest, fairest white man in the jungle country. I think it's worth anything I might have to go through to keep you free.
Thanks, Reverend. But I couldn't let you get tortured for trying to help me out. So you aren't going to refuse to perform the ceremony.
Jim, you don't mean you intend marrying her?
Not of my own free will, I don't.
Oh, thank heaven. For the moment I was afraid that woman had got you under her spell. Lily DeVril can be a siren when she wants to be.
Judging from my last interview with her, and the way she was dressed in frills and flowing skirts, I guess she wants to be right now.
She's a thoroughly bad woman, Jim. She's no scruples and no conscience. She was deported after she served 10 years for killing a man. She's become a woman without a country.
Well, she's planning on making Malaysia her country and herself queen.
And now she wants you for her consort, eh?
Yes. But I won't become Mr. DeVril while I have my senses.
Good for you, Jim, and I'll stick with you on that.
Reverend, the time has come to give Kolu the signal.
Yes, I think you're right.
We must find a chance to do it before tonight.
Up at the plantation house, Shanghai Lil is making a few plans of her own.
Mamba hasn't come back yet, Laba?
No, Lily. That black rascal no come back yet.
I'll strip the hide off him when he does.
By God, that too hard work for a beautiful woman like you. Better you let Jacques Labat do that.
All right, you can do it then, but see that it's a good job.
You leave everything to gentle Jacques. Eh, Lily?
Laba, I want you to get some hibiscus flowers and orchids and decorate this room this afternoon.
You going for give party?
Well, yes, in a way. I want this place to look like a tropical garden. Everything must be fixed up as beautiful as possible.
By God, you're so beautiful, Lily. It will be hard to make room seem beautiful beside you.
You're breaking my heart, Laba. Such compliments. I wish somebody else would pay them to me.
What you mean? Everybody think you're most beautiful woman in the whole world.
Well, I know at least one person who doesn't. But never mind that. You see to it that this room is fixed up by tonight.
Maybe.
And see that Jungle Jim has some new clothes. And a razor. He might like to get cleaned up before the ceremony.
What, that? Ceremony?
Well, yes.
What you mean, Lil?
Well, you see, Laba, I'm going to marry Jungle Jim tonight.
Lily!
And you're going to be the best man. Besides, I may need you to see that the Reverend Chalmers performs the ceremony.
Jacques Labat, the best man. By God, that good joke.
Well, I'm going to get ready for my wedding. And by the way, Laban, maybe you'd like to use that razor before you give it to Jungle Jim. You certainly could stand it.
So, she want for to marry with Jungle Jim, eh? I have helped her all this time. And why? Because I love her. Sacre bleu. Now Lily thinks she throw me aside like one old shoe, eh? By God, I show her.
Can Shanghai Lil force Jungle Jim to marry her before the proposed signal to Kolu brings help and possibly rescue for Jim and the Reverend Chalmers? You have just heard a dramatization of the exciting adventures of Jungle Jim, who appears in full-color action pictures each Sunday in the Comic Weekly, which is distributed with your Hearst Sunday newspaper. In addition to Jungle Jim, you will also find many other famous characters of the world of pictures. The Katzenjammer Kids, Barney Google, Toots and Casper, Flash Gordon, and the Little King. A new group of colored poster stamps to add to your present collection will be found in the next issue of the Comic Weekly. Don't forget our date at the same time next week for a continuation of the exciting adventures of Jungle Jim.
from February 8th, 1936, The Adventures of Jungle Jim, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Visit our webpage, classicradio.stream, and join us tomorrow for a day of comedy. Thanks for making us part of your day.